The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The season, the 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great.
Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's a Thursday, but it's our Friday, and we're excited to be hanging out with you guys here today. Welcome in Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I hope everyone's had a great week. We're off and rolling here on a Thursday. Let's bring in the guys, shall we? Mr. Jimmy, good morning. How are you? Welcome in, sir.
Good morning. I'm good. I'm excited. Thursday.
Whoa.
It's pretty much, what, Friday?
It's getting better.
That was good.
What?
You seemed like you were excited to be here today.
Brought the energy.
I am excited. I'm always excited to be here.
Yeah, we have beef, by the way.
Oh,
Wait, why do we have beef?
We have beef.
I think you got beef with more than just Jimmy.
No, I think it's just Jimmy.
Especially Jimmy. It's
Okay.
especially Jimmy because everyone followed. So he just totally dissed me on Twitter, which has never happened before. No one has ever disrespected me on Twitter more than this guy right over here on the X. Back to quiet now.
Do you think I was the one who posted it?
No, but I saw your response to it. Stinks. This take stinks, he said. He tweeted. Nonetheless. Reed,
sorry.
good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Justin. You noticed that they all buried you on that tweet yesterday? I did not. So I know that you think that we have beef, which we have a little bit of beef, but there's a lot of love. Now, there might be some stank. There might be some stank on that love, but there is love here.
Now, we found out yesterday I'm a big wrestling fan. If you want to call that the fight, the match, a buried alive. I think I lost the buried alive fight yesterday. But we're going to avoid that take at all costs. I'm just going to stay away from it.
That's right.
Just for the sake of you guys.
Yeah.
Can't wait till draft season. Only a few months away.
Luckily, we don't have the draft for quite some time. And I'll make sure I take off that month as far as that's concerned. Elliot, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
I will say,
Nice try, though.
there was a point last night where I thought to myself, if Kirby did this to me, how would I react? And I probably would have thrown a fit and had the tweet deleted. But I give you a lot of credit because you stuck with it. You didn't comment to any of the haters, and you just let it go. And it got a ton of views. So good job.
You're acting like you weren't the biggest ratio of the tweet.
I was, and I was pretty proud of it.
What was it, up 70?
75.
What was the a-hole comment you made? This is the Hall of Fame?
I said this
Of
tweet.
bad takes?
I said this tweet would go into a Hall of Fame for a Hall of Fame that only featured the worst takes ever uttered.
Well, but
That's a compliment.
it is what it is.
Hall of Fame.
It's a Hall of Fame take.
And there's only one of you that ticked me off yesterday, and it's this next guy right over
Yeah.
here, Mr. Jacob Taylor.
How are you? I'm doing good.
Fantastic.
Good.
I
I'm
am
glad.
Fantastic.
I was glad you're in a good mood this morning. I was a little bit worried
I
on
was
the
the
drive
first
in.
one here.
I
When
know.
walked
I like
in,
that.
this room was dark. I had to turn the lights on.
That's
I had
good.
to
By the
turn
way,
lights on.
Reed says he didn't say anything disparaging under that
Burner?
comment. Casey McAllister tweeted something under it.
Pew pew.
I don't think that was Casey McAllister.
Oh.
You know what?
Whoa,
You're
whoa.
done. You're not doing this next week.
What do you think
I
the
want
tweet
you-
said? What do you think that
Pew or something. It was
Yeah,
like
it was
PU.
PU.
It was
it was? I
PEW.
think if I can
Like
quote
stinky.
Casey, I don't know what Casey was thinking at the moment, but he said PU, insinuating that take stinks, just like our love has a little stank on it.
Well, you know what? Let's. I am kind of curious because I did get buried. I got buried. And
You
two
said
it happened fast.
You said nobody's ever said anything bad about that take. I think if you polled like 4 million people, I think 3,999,999 of them would probably say that take is absolutely the worst.
Oh, interesting. I don't know why on the old laptop you can't pull up the quote tweets, but the quote tweets were pretty mean.
The quote
There was
tweets.
some
The
pretty
quote
good
You
tweets
can
were
if you
good.
hit the three, if you hit the three little dots.
Oh, there's a three little dots option. I feel like I'm 80. Look
at that. Teaching Tom's
would you
back.
look at that?
Teaching Tom.
as far as that's concerned. But we'll get back. I'll go read some of those coming up here in a little bit. But we are excited for today's show. The basketball tournament tips off this weekend, and we're fortunate here between Dayton and Cincinnati. We have quite a few TBT teams. Of course, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the basketball tournament. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big nostalgia guy. I love watching guys that I grew up watching, or maybe not grew up, but have watched play in college, different recruiting classes, played for various coaching, during coaching eras, and then they reunite in pursuit of winning $1 million. The basketball tournament used to be on ESPN, now on Fox Sports, but either way, all going to be tipping off this coming up weekend. And the inventor of the Elam ending, which is like the big talking point of the basketball tournament outside of the $1 million that the athletes are competing for, the Elam ending is what we're going to be talking a lot about to open up the show today, including talking with the guy who invented the Elam ending, Mr. Nick Elam. He's going to be joining us coming up here in just about 10 minutes or so. How familiar are you guys with the basketball tournament and the Elam ending? I know we were all talking about it before the show started today, but are you guys a fan of the Elam ending concept that in what we lightly talked about before?
I'm relatively unfamiliar with the TBT as a whole, but the Elam ending's been used in the All-Star game now for, 4 or 5?
2020 is when it was first used, yeah.
And I think it's been great for that. I mean, you've seen the All-Star game in the NBA really fall off a cliff in the last decade or so, and the Elam ending has made it so the first 3 quarters and change are still that kind of nonsense, play around All-Star game basketball. And then that last chase to the final total is usually played pretty hard. So I like how it's affected the All-Star game.
So the Elam ending, just for clarity, before I get everyone else's take on this too, the Elam ending is a target score is implemented at the first under 4 media timeout. So the first under 4 minute timeout, of course, or dead ball situation, 8 points is added to the team who has the lead. So if it's 90-88, dead ball under 4, the target score, you add 8 points to the team that's leading, it's now 98. Okay, so it's the first team to 98. The clock is no longer a factor, and you think, oh man, the team now that's leading is given 8 points. It is actually pretty wild how often the team that's trailing always seems to come roaring back and get back into it. Because when I first heard of this, I'm like, that's silly. You're giving the team that has the lead 8 additional points. They're just going to close this out all the time. That's actually not the case. They start to feel the pressure. There's no shot clock. There's no game clock. It's you're trying to score. They start rushing shots. They start feeling the pressure of the team that's down going on a run. It's very entertaining, and the most important thing is every game ends with on a game-winning shot, and I think it's pretty cool. It's very exciting. I called the TBT for Carmen's crew and Red Scare games in Dayton, and it's pretty cool. Every game you get to call it like it's a game winner. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the TBT, but I do watch the games that UC plays in usually.
Yep.
And yeah, I love it. I think that there is something to it where the final minute, the final minute of a basketball game can get kind of tired when a team's up by 5 and it turns into the foul game, and you're going back and forth and back and forth. Ultimately, like you said, to almost no avail, pretty much 100% of the time. It's very rare to see a team down 5 or 4 intentionally foul and then somehow come back to get the win. It happens, and it's really cool when it does. But most of the time, that's not the way the story goes, and the Elam ending eliminates that, which I think is very, very cool. I will say the TBT, again, I only watch the UC games, but that is also cool because it's almost like it's what is Ice Cube's thing called?
The big 3.
Yeah, so you get to see your old favorite players back in your uniform, and I like how it's kind of become that. It used to not be this really. Back in I want to say 10 years ago, it used to be just regular amateurs. I think there still are just regular amateurs as well, but it used to just be regular amateurs that would compete for a chance at $100,000. Now it's developed into pretty much every college that had notable players the past 15 years. They're all getting together in this, and it's almost like a second March Madness with your old favorite players, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So, for Carmen's crew, which is, by the way, Ohio State's TBT team used to be Scarlet and Gray, but Go Bucks, Ohio State threatened to sue them. So if they didn't change it, real school pride, right?
Very nice.
It's
yeah, that's good.
So they changed it to Carmen's crew. But I was a big fan of Carmen's crew original group. They won the TBT championship back in 19. Because when I was in high school, we went up against Aaron Crafts, we went up against William Buford, John Diebler, and guys like that who were all playing, on that TBT team for Carmen's crew. So Carmen's crew's still around. Jared Solinger is the coach, but he also announced he's going to play.
Oh, awesome.
So that's pretty cool. Caleb Weston going to play. Dayton has a team, the Red Scare. They've been playing in it for quite some time now. They've hosted it the last couple of years. In fact, if Carmen's Crew and Red Scare both win on Saturday, they will play each other on Monday night. So in Dayton, we'll have that game on 1410 ESPN Radio, so I'm really hoping both win on Saturday. Cincinnati has a team, the Nasty Natty, and then Xavier, Zip 'em Up. That's the name of theirs. Elliot, your point about, like, it used to just be like we could all, if we could raise the money, we could all be in the TBT if we wanted to, if we could, and if we could raise the money, right?
We should have got a Chatterbox team. In the TBT.
I mean, you could.
God,
Team Diesel, Shaq
score.
has a team in.
We wouldn't score.
We wouldn't score a point.
think we
Floyd
could score
Mayweather
a
always has
point.
a team in too.
One basket, I think we could get one.
I would get us 8.
Like a pity
I would
basket?
get us 8.
Jimmy
You
from the
get
corner.
8 points.
The reason I get 8 is because I've never scored 10 points in a competitive basketball game. Never have gotten double digits.
Scored 8.
But I get 8.
Yeah.
I
like
get
8.
8. It's just like the lid goes on the bucket after 8. So I'm good for 8.
I played for the Harlem Globetrotters back in 2020. I can get us a couple shots.
Did you actually?
I did. I have the video to prove it.
That's insane.
There's a lot of squinty guys in here. I will share the video.
Did the Generals win that one?
Did the Generals win?
No, I got in. I was 2 for 3. I had a nice little layup underneath.
Are you serious? I can't
Ball
tell if you're
fake, got the
bidding.
defender off his feet, stepped in. Oh, and I have the video right here on my laptop. I will gladly show you guys coming up here.
That's
later.
That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard.
We'll even share it.
How'd you get that?
I mean, it was through our ESPN station. It was just a little promotion that we did. We partnered up with them to help promote that.
I gotta
they were
get a
coming
job
to
in
Dayton.
radio. The perks are insane.
So, but I was a lot fatter than I am now, so I look like Butterbean in the red, white, and blue shorts. It was not my finest moment.
Butterbean getting mentioned in this show was plus $1 billion.
We're hitting some
Butterbean.
crazy
But is that a
futures this
stray?
week.
I don't think he caught. That's not a stray. I didn't throw anything. I didn't throw any shade his way.
I would
that was a pretty direct
go out
shot.
on a limb and say at
I
least
think-
40% of this room isn't aware who Butterbean is.
I've never aged myself more than since meeting you guys. I just want to make that
Butterbean.
1,000,000%.
I knew Elliot and I knew Jimbo probably didn't know who
No
Butterbean
idea who
was.
that is.
Jacob, no Butterbean?
So that'd be
Nope.
60% of the room.
Google Butterbean.
Elliot just did.
Red, white, and blue shorts. I mean, that's
It's a tough look.
damn. The joke totally is not funny anymore.
I remember Butterbean because as a wrestling fan, he was at WrestleMania. WrestleMania.
But
That's
you can
right.
catch every Monday night. Am I right?
That's right. Every single Monday. Every single Monday in the fall.
No, but the TBT tips off this weekend, and the inventor of the Elam ending, Nick Elam, he's going to be joining us coming up here any moment now. Reed, how familiar are you with the TBT? I know Xavier has a team as well. I heard you're quite a Xavier basketball guy.
Yeah, I like Xavier basketball. I mean, Elliot likes to make fun of me. He says I'm not a fan, but I am a fan. I do go to games. I do root for them, and especially when I go to Centos, I root for the home team. Bringing that joke back. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the TBT. I know a lot more dedicated Xavier fans get really excited because it is such a niche community, and because they are so cherished in the community. Guys like Trayvon Blewett, who, by the way, got a huge honor this week. But guys like that, you get to see them play again, so that is exciting. But I don't know a whole lot about the TBT, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and again, so Trayvon Blue, as you talked about, will be playing for Zip 'em Up, which is the TBT alumni team for Xavier, Scruggs, Adam Kunkel, and some other familiar names there. Nasty Natty, the alumni team for Cincinnati, Jared Cumberland, that's the big name that's playing for them, of course. Ohio State, Carmen's Crew, as I mentioned earlier, Jared Sullinger, Caleb Wesson, guys like that. Guys who, and that's what I like about it, too, is guys I've never played together. Two really good bigs in Ohio State's past are going to be playing side by side. I know Jared Sullinger played in the NBA for a little bit too, so that's pretty cool, and he's been coaching the team. And then for the Red Scare, you get Scoochie Smith, obviously, all these great former Flyers coming back, Jordan Seibert, and then of course you got Ryan Mikesell and Landers. I know Jimmy, you talked about Landers a little bit ago.
Yeah, I remember Landers from the 2020 team, I believe, that never got their tournament run. I didn't really know much about the TBT. Before, I guess, one of my friends who goes to Xavier would talk about it a lot once he started going there, and how cool it was, just like seeing all the older guys play in like an actual competitive tournament. And so I was looking it up. It looked like Notre Dame used to have a team called the Fighting Alumni, which is kind of funny, but I don't think they're in it this year. I was looking at the bracket. Doesn't look like they're playing this year, but I mean, it looks cool. It looks like I really like college basketball, especially during college basketball season. That's my I research college basketball all day. I love Ken Pom. That's my favorite thing. So I think it'd be cool to kind of be able to see a tournament like this and follow it during the summer, which I think is cool.
All right, if you're just joining us now, again, it's Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. Once we get a couple things ironed out, we'll be joined by Nick Elam, the inventor of the Elam ending, which will, of course, be the exciting finish that you see all weekend long throughout the basketball tournament. So as soon as we get him on, we'll be off and rolling. But as far as today's show is concerned, coming up, we'll be talking some NFL. I don't want to talk about the MLB All-Star Game ever again, at least not for a very, very long time. The Reds kick things off for the back half of the season tomorrow night. We'll have some Red stuff coming up later on in the show, but lots of stuff with the NFL. The Bengals Ring of Honor, the new inductees. I had in my notes that they would be announced this morning. I do believe that they were announced already, correct?
They were.
So we'll announce who that is. So last year's Bengals Ring of Honor class, Chad Johnson and Boomer Esiason, of course. In 2022, you had Willie Anderson and Isaac Curtis. And then the inaugural Ring of Honor class, which featured Ken Anderson, Paul Brown, Anthony Munoz, and Ken Riley. So as far as the nominees that were concerned, again, we'll talk about the inductees coming up in a moment. But Jim Breach was one, James Brooks, Chris Collinsworth, Corey Dillon, David Fulcher, Tim Crumry, Dave Lapham, Max Montoya, Lamar Parrish, Bob Trumpy, and Reggie Williams were this year's nominees. All right, so I think we're all good. We're lined up. We're going to talk a little bit more TBT. We talked about the Elam ending. We talked about the target score. Every game ends on a game-winning bucket, and we're going to talk with the inventor of the Elam ending. We have Nick Elam, and he's going to join us coming up next, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers on Chatterbox Sports on YouTube and 1410 ESPN Radio. All right, and we are back Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Justin Kinner, we got Jimmy, we got Reed, we got Elliot, and we got Jacob hanging out with you here on this Thursday edition of the show, of course. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, and for those listening in Dayton on 1410 ESPN Radio. Speaking of Dayton, our next guest is a Dayton Flyers alum, of course, and we're excited to have him on. He's the inventor of the Elam ending. We got Mr. Nick Elam hanging out with us. Nick, it's been a while since we've talked. I appreciate you taking time and hanging out with us this morning. Welcome.
Hey, great to be with you. And by the way, big Butterbean fan.
I'm not getting him in
right
my
here.
headset real quick, so okay, and give us 1 second. Our apologies. We'll get this ironed out real quick. But we wait on that again, just to give you guys a little bit more background one more time. Nick Elam, the inventor of the Elam ending. The Elam ending is the target score finish, so the exciting finish that you see across all TBT games. The NBA All-Star Game adopted it back in 2020. We got that. That's this box right here. Just gonna look at it. Keep going. Little inside baseball stuff. Sorry, guys. We're getting it figured out. But no, so back in 2020 was the first time that the Elam ending was put on display in the NBA All-Star Game, which is pretty exciting, of course. So we're really starting to see this thing take off. It's talked about year-round. I know there's some professional leagues overseas that have adopted this as well, and we'll talk about that with Nick Elam coming up here in just a second. We good? We think we good?
I think we are, so
Let's give it a shot. Nick, can you hear us, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I enjoy the Butterbean discussion because.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll minimize this. We'll try this again coming up here in just a little bit. Nick, our apologies. We're just trying to iron this out. Excited to get him on, but nonetheless. So, all right. Coming up here in a little bit too. We've got some more NFL stuff coming up around the corner. I know involves the Cincinnati Bengals first-round draft pick in Mims. I know that that's something that Jacob and I talked about a little bit ago. We were not fully aware of everything that was kind of going on as far as his contract is concerned. We know that Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze again get their contract finalized with the Chicago Bears, of course. So that's a good thing for them. But there was one key talking point in the negotiations between Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears that really stood out to me. I'm excited to talk about that coming up here in a little bit. So we have that around the corner. As I mentioned a little bit ago, the Reds back in action tomorrow night to kick off their second half of the season. So, again, we can get back into some Reds talk, talking about our expectations for the team and no longer doing the, who they're going to trade and stuff. So, hey, how did I do? Did I navigate through that?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. You filibustered well.
I was running out of stuff to BS about.
I like it. You did a good job.
All right. Are we waiting one more time?
yeah, he's for a second, but I should be able to. You should be able to hear him now. That was a mistake on my behalf. Once again, we are having a guest producer in here, so when he comes back, hopefully it'll be soon.
There's a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, it's probably sitting twice. So, but
No, we're good. We're good. Hey, thank you everyone for hanging out on the YouTube side. We're just trying some stuff. Appreciate everyone being patient as far as that's concerned. So as soon as they give us the green light, we'll go ahead again. But by the way, Reed, appreciate him. Like, we're all trying this stuff now too, and again, just trying to adapt to this on the fly as far as that's concerned. Real quick, just while we are waiting, the Ring of Honor names were announced, so we at least can announce that, of course.
Yep,
correct?
the Ring of Honor was announced for the Bengals earlier this morning, right before we went live. Tim Crumry, legendary Bengals D lineman, and then running back Corey Dillon, both in the Ring of Honor. Corey Dillon, last year, I think a lot of people thought he was going to get in statistically compared to the rest of the class, but obviously a long history with the Bengals, some tumultuous past. I'm glad he got in, though. He's statistically the best running back in Bengals history by a pretty wide margin, so he definitely deserves the honor.
Yeah, that's why I made that comment the other day about, he had that rough background with the Cincinnati Bengals, and now that they're good and now that they're honoring their past great players, now wants to be part of the cool kids club, right? But no, in all seriousness, very happy for Corey Dillon as far as that's concerned. It's going to be recognized by the fans when that game comes. I think it's the Commanders game.
I believe so. One of the primetime games.
Okay. Reed, we can also just message him and say we'll try again another time. It's not. I mean, that's not a problem either. So we can just get back and rolling. I mean, it's up to you if you think we're close.
So what happened was I didn't send the push out to you guys. I could hear it in my set, but the mixer itself wasn't sending the push out. The problem is I think he got out of the call because he thought he was doing something wrong, and he's not here anymore. So if you could tell him to use that exact same link, that would be fantastic, and we should be ready to go. But I'm excited personally about the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Corey Dillon is. I remember the first Bengals game I ever went to. Corey Dillon was the marquee player. It was hot off of him breaking the record out in Denver. I believe it was. I believe we were playing the Seahawks, and we won. And I just remember Corey Dillon scoring 2 touchdowns. Like, it's just childhood core memories. First time you go to Paul Brown Stadium. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this whole thing.
Corey Dillon, 3-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro. How about that?
Champ, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he
Patriots.
was.
Almost 2,000 rushing yards more than the Bengals' second leading rusher all time.
Wow.
So not even close. Only Bengals rusher over 8,000 yards, 45 touchdowns in his career with the Bengals. I mean, yeah, legendary running back.
Read your mics off. Just
I got you. It's back on. It's back on. And it looks like we've got our main man.
So we're good. We're going to try this again. Appreciate Nick being patient. And appreciate everyone. I mean, we are just flying by the seat of our pants right now. We're doing our best right now as far as that's concerned. All right, let's do it. Nick Elam, the inventor of the Elam ending, which will be on full display this coming up weekend as the TBT, the basketball tournament. $1 million on the line. Really excited for that. And, of course, to have a chance to catch up with Nick once again. Nick, let's try this one more time, shall we? How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Hey, we got it. We got it. Solutions, not problems. No. Hey, thank you for taking time. So with the TBT tipping off this weekend, it's always my favorite time of the summer, right? Because I'm a big basketball guy. We don't get a lot of basketball throughout the summer. I know we have the Olympics going on right now. The WNBA has taken off. But for years, basketball really hasn't been a big talking point in the summer. And yet, here we are. Obviously, the TBT means a lot to you because something that, of course, you created is really one of the biggest talking points of the weekend, the Elam ending. Just talk about what this weekend means for you and your relationship with the TBT.
Yeah, you mentioned the Olympics. Who wants to watch the Olympics when you can watch TBT? So, yeah, TBT is going to be really cool this year. So many sites that are within the local area, the local region, I should say, and just within driving distance. So whether you're in Cincinnati, there's games going to be played there, Dayton, like you mentioned, but then also Indianapolis, Louisville, Lexington, Pittsburgh, and then there are a few sites that are a little bit farther away. But this is going to be a really exciting year. It's kind of a compressed schedule. You're going to be able to catch the games on Fox for the first time this year, Fox and FS1 and FS2. So should be a really exciting year for it.
So the TBT, this is year number 10 for it. Now, the Elam ending has not always been used with the TBT. Didn't that start back in 2017? When did the Elam ending begin to be implemented into the TBT?
Yeah, so TBT's first year was 2014. And then leading into the 2017 edition, that's when they decided to implement the Elam ending for the first time on an experimental basis. So they already had a few years under their belt. They had already established themselves as a really well-run event with high-level players in the event. And so I was very grateful and still am grateful that was the first home for the Elam ending, because I wouldn't have wanted to land in the hands of an event that just wasn't very well-run or well-organized. But TBT is just a really well-oiled machine at this point, and even then it was well-respected and well-run. So they were the perfect first home to give the Elam ending the start, and now we've seen it grow to so many different levels. And the latest development is that a version of the Elam ending is being used for the first time in NBA Summer League this year.
Nick Elam with us, the inventor of the Elam ending. Now, for those who are tuning in, and like we're talking about the Elam ending, might be somewhat familiar with it, give everyone just a little bit of background info on the Elam ending and how this came about as far as, your ideas, obviously implementing these. Because, in the middle of the summer, we always do these topics of, man, what changes would we make to baseball? What changes would we make to football? This, that, and the other. I had a great idea of how to change the draft yesterday. It was legendary. But no, how you have this idea like we all have, but you hit the ground running with it. You put a lot of groundwork behind it. Just talk about how this took off the way it did many years ago.
Yeah, so the Elam ending in a nutshell is that you play most of the game with a clock, you play the last part of the game without a clock. And the idea is not to change basketball, really it's to do the opposite and to preserve a more natural and exciting style of play all the way through the end of the game. It's a concept that I first devised back in 2007 and really put a lot of time in the spring and the summer of 2007 in researching this idea, because at first I thought that there must be some reason why this wouldn't work. And just out of curiosity, I was trying to figure out, well, what's the flaw in this idea? Why won't it work? But I tried to scrutinize it every way I could and tried to figure out what the flaw is. And as the weeks and the months went on in 2007, I really started to believe, yeah, I think this idea has merit. I think that the idea is necessary. I think it's sound. I think it has the potential to be very cool. Well, then the really tough part started, which was trying to convince others in the basketball world that the idea had merit. And what I didn't know at the time was that it was going to be a 10-year journey of continual outreach and research, trying to have that big breakthrough. And finally, it was TBT who gave it its first chance in 2017. And ever since it was first implemented in 2017, now my job got a little bit easier, got a lot easier, because now it wasn't just me speaking on behalf of this concept. Now people could see and feel and experience what the Elam ending was all about as it was being played on the court. And so then it really took off. The momentum from that point on has just been rapid fire. So it's been growing very quickly since then.
As it continues to grow, and hi Nick, I'm Elliot. Nice to meet you. I think when I was doing research about you for this interview, I think I saw that one of the biggest reasons you did this was because you were watching the March Madness, and as you were watching, it just got kind of watered down towards the end of each game, where it's that classic thing. You're down by 5 with about 4 minutes left to play. You're down by 5 with 2 minutes, 1 minute, and you're still down by 5, and then you have to eventually start putting the desperation fouls in, and we go back and forth where can that team that's down 5 foul enough where the other team misses enough free throws and you make the big shot? Sure, but it's so unlikely and it's so rare that you don't really see it. Could you see a world where college basketball adjusts to the Elam ending for games? And I'm not talking just the regular season stuff like that, but maybe for things like the Maui Invitational, and you see other sort of events in college basketball. I think as they try to increase the number of in-season tournaments, do you think that this will be more available to them going forward?
Absolutely think that college basketball will be a perfect home for this, and I've been saying that since 2007. NCAA is a little slow to change on things, as everyone knows. So I think they've been maybe the most resistant to adopting this type of rule, even though I think college basketball needs it even more than the NBA or the WNBA, where the fouling problem still exists, but it's not quite as prevalent as it is in college basketball. And I think that, just like you mentioned, I think there are so many different great settings to implement this. Even if you just want to dip your toes in the water rather than going all in, so many great ways to do that, including those in-season tournaments. And maybe even more appropriate than those would be some of these postseason tournaments other than the NCAA tournament, things like the NIT, or we're going to see a new event on the Fox networks called the College Basketball Crown in 2025, which again, it's a postseason tournament, but it doesn't, it's not the NCAA tournament, and that would be, I think, a perfect place to experiment with it. So if I had a vote, it would be implemented there, but I'm still kind of an outsider, trying to be influential from the outside, and hopefully one of these days we'll have that breakthrough at the college basketball level.
Now, this isn't a basketball question, but I was doing some research, and I saw that you were a Reds groundskeeper. Are you still a Reds groundskeeper? And if you are, do you believe the Cincinnati Reds in 2024 can somehow sneak into the postseason?
So I am still on the Reds grounds crew. This is my 19th year on the Reds grounds crew. When I started in 2006, I was a teacher in Dayton, and I would work about home games down to about 50 games or so once I became a school principal. And then now that I've moved to Indiana and I'm a professor in Indiana, I've had to back that way down. But I still work on a limited basis. I even worked a game earlier this month. But I think MLB's doing the Reds a favor by continuing to expand the playoffs. Maybe they'll expand it large enough where the Reds can actually make it. And even though I'm not a fan of the expanded playoffs, if there's one team that might benefit from that, it could be the Reds. I do think that
We might have lost him. Bueller, we good? Did we lose him?
I think we did.
Okay. We gave it the old college try as far as that's concerned. We'll revisit that coming up later on. I do appreciate him taking the time and just trying to help us out. I would love to wanted to get into with him about how the NBA adopted it, because I see some people in here. I think like Everett said he was not, or I think it was Everett or Fetters or someone said they weren't familiar with it. And I really wanted to get into that. Chris Paul played a huge role in that. Chris Paul has a team in the TBT every year. A lot of celebrities, like Shaq is the first year. I think they have Team Diesel this year. Floyd Mayweather in the past has. But Chris Paul was a big believer in this. And, of course, he played a role in kind of presenting that to Adam Silver back, I think, in like 2019. And that's when they adopted it in the NBA All-Star Game in 20. So it's pretty cool.
That is, I will say, I know people are against change for the most part when it comes to rule changes in sports. And I know Reed's kind of made this point, over the past couple. I've known Reed for, a year now, and he's made this a sticking point that change is usually a good thing. And I think that this would help in certain areas. I don't think you can change March Madness to a point where it becomes the Elam ending. But I do think you can do other things during the college basketball season where you can implement this. Use it in the CBI. Use it in the NIT, like he said. There are certain areas where I think that fans can get behind this. Now, the only other issue, I guess you could say, is statistics. Statistically wise, it's hard to accurately, keep a good track of the stats of the past and how to compare them with the Elam ending stats, because they would be different. Granted, you do have the timed quarters for the first three, but once you get to the fourth, who knows what happens then? That would be a little bit of interesting waters to tread there. But yeah, I think it's pretty damn cool.
All right, so what we're gonna do here, this whole little segment right here, we're scrapping it just for the inside baseball stuff. So that first segment, Reed, we will keep coming back. Obviously, that interview did not work out, and we'll just kind of pick up from there and make it work. So we'll go to break right now. You're watching and listening to Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Oh, we're back now. There we go. I wonder what we're going to do when we get back.
That's right.
I mean, it's anyone's guess. Welcome you back Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio. Roger says an all-time show, as Trace would say. Would this be an all-time show, as Trace would? I saw Trace just walk in. We might need to get him in here. I know he went to FC. Well, he went and saw FC Cincinnati last night, I believe.
He did.
He did. We might have to get him in here. We might have to. He needs to come save the show. It's off the rails today, as far as
that's all right.
goes.
Listen, it's a Friday show. And when I say Friday, of course, I mean Thursday. So
Which is really Wednesday.
Yeah, we're fine. I have to chew a piece of gum to keep my congestion down. So this show is just off the rails, but that's all right. We fight through it. A lot of sports to talk about. I did think that was interesting, though, for the record. We didn't get the interview, but I would have liked to discuss it because it's a pretty damn cool thing.
Yeah, someone said this show today is presented by the phrase Elam ending. Yes, I think if it was to turn into a drinking game, everyone would be hammered at this point. So a lot of people are also now, as they're catching up on the show, they've all gone to the Twitter machine. And they've all started reading the quote tweets, and they've all started following along. So yesterday, not getting back into this take, but whatever
you have
this take
You
was
have to.
apparently so bad. Okay, it was so bad that I'm not even going to repeat it. But whatever, it is what it is. Jimmy dunked on me. All right, he said this take stinks.
I feel like that was one of the nicer things that was said.
He's not lying. Truer words have never been said. I mean, like these are some of the like. All right, this one right here. Well, for one, I mean, like a lot of like this cannot be serious. Thomas Clark says, ban drafts. In the process, we can get rid of the most annoying brand of finalicist. I've never heard finalicist before. That's pretty cool.
Analysis is always good.
Finalicist. That's been around?
Yeah.
Linus, cool name Linus, by the way, says, shows like this shouldn't exist. All because of my opinion? I'm sorry, guys.
I'd prefer the show keep existing.
Yeah.
Me too.
I don't know about you guys. I would like it too. Maybe the take could be adjusted.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
No. Stand your ground.
Maybe the take could be
Stand your
adjusted.
ground, Justin.
Oh, I'm not backing down. I'm just saying maybe the take could be adjusted. Christian says, this take just made me go brain dead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's a little aggressive.
It's not very nice.
Willie Lutz. His head's shaped like a football. Willie Lutz had
come
this to
on.
say about me. All right, he says, I actually don't know that I've ever heard a take this bad that someone actually took the time to explain.
What Willie doesn't know is I had to cut off about 5 more minutes of explanation so it could fit on Twitter.
I think it's longer than that. I think it was 8.5 minutes.
You're welcome.
No, I'm
Not a whole lot
complaining.
going on yesterday.
I'm
You're
not
welcome.
complaining.
It was a very
All right.
well thought out take.
What's that?
It was very well thought out.
I think, Team Jimmy.
I don't.
Jimmy's just trying to claw back.
Well thought out is probably not the right adjective. He did think about it. I don't know if well you could use the adjective well thought out. He did think.
So Nick Stevens says, considering who it's from, least shocking take of all time.
Oh, good to see you have some repeat fans.
We had one deleted quote, too.
Okay.
There was some guy with 15,000 followers from Cleveland. He quote tweeted it and then immediately deleted his tweet.
But what did it say?
It was like, this is the dumbest take I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then he realized, oh, that's a Browns fan, so I got to be nice to him.
Well, I think he realized that nobody liked his tweet, so he's like, you know what? I'm not going to flood
I'm
the
out.
timeline.
And then, the ones underneath. And then you got Elliot. This take belongs in the museum that is home to the worst takes ever uttered.
It's a good reply.
That's a little mean.
How many
74 likes.
74 likes?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
How many of your takes are in that Hall of Fame?
A lot.
Ooh, he's
If
thinking.
there were 100 bad takes in the museum,
I wasn't
I'd
gonna
have
bash dinner
I'd have
without a-
34.
Without a
34
direct shot.
bad takes.
34.
I'd have
That's a good batting
34.
average.
34% of all the bad takes in the country are yours.
Correct.
How
That's a
many?
Luis Arraez batting
Yeah.
average.
That is, yeah.
I
How
feel
many-
great about that.
How many from this season, this red season, would be in there?
Handful.
Couple.
I mean, what do you consider a take? A take that
That we would be worse if we played the Rockies 162 games in Colorado and they're like the second worst team in the National League.
No, I stand by that one.
or like calling Jonathan India's career dead and then him just being amazing
Going
right
on the
after you
hottest
said
month
it.
in the history of baseball.
Well, that's not a bad
Idiot, dude.
take.
Can you believe that? Can you believe this guy?
That's not a bad take. Drew Garrison, $5. Willie is a trusted friend. Should I inform him of Kinner's slander?
Yes. Tell
Yeah.
him. I'll send a postcard. That's totally fine.
Who's do the Cleveland Browns? Do they have like super fans like we do?
Yeah.
Like we have like
The dog pound.
Captain Bengal and everybody like that. Do they have people? They have like
Everyone
Mr.
does.
Mr.
Everyone does.
Mr.
The
Dog.
fans that dress up for Cleveland games usually have trash bags on their head.
Okay, that's true.
We doing this?
It's okay, Ken.
Day
I've,
two?
I've been there too.
Even Kirby got
So,
it.
hey, so have we.
Yeah.
Nick Kirby even says, I don't mind this take as long as Kinner is forced to watch every single game of each of the teams that gets buried at the bottom of their leagues.
Would you
Fair.
do it?
That's fair.
Would you do it?
No teams get buried at the bottom of their leagues right now.
Not in the NFL.
Not in the NFL.
Not the NFL because
Come on, Jimmy. Sean says, man, you guys clipped it out just to tell him how bad of a take it is.
That is true. Sean's never been more right in his life. We clipped that for the sole intention of ratioing it.
Well, when I was going through to figure out, a little peek behind the curtain here, going through to figure out what to clip from that segment,
Sure.
if you clipped any response all the replies would have been just like, yeah, the draft is good.
Yeah.
Of course. So we had to use the question to garner any kind of
This take got put in 2 Hall of Fames. There's the Hall of Fame that Elliott put it in. Chase says, this goes in the Hall of Fame of anyone could be a sports analyst as long as they have a mic and platform. Eye roll emoji. 2 of them.
That is actually true. That's mostly true. Which Chase was that?
Chase, I don't know. He has a little Spades logo at the end of it. Tremors, and he's the marketing director for Tony's of Cincinnati.
Shout out.
Tony's
Shout
is
out
great.
Tony.
No free ads.
Wait, like just people named Tony? They
Probably.
have a marketing department?
Yeah.
Like everyone named Anthony in Cincinnati's just having Chase run
As
the
a
marketing
marketing
like just like, hey, if your name's Anthony, I'm your guy.
You'd think you'd hire an Anthony.
This take is so bad. I mean, the list goes on. Someone used the Rock's little thing where it says "shut up" and then called me the B word afterwards.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What garbage is this? Surely this clown isn't serious. Don't call me Shirley. I mean, like, seriously, we can go on and on with that. This made me lose brain cells. And then I like that after all of that, Twitter at the bottom says, we had to block out some of these. It's like, because they get meaner. As far as that, I lack common sense, this says. Okay.
Poor Kenner.
Yeah. But here I am. We're off.
You fought it like a trooper. If I were you, I would have quote tweeted it and walked it all the way back. But
Oh, I'm not walking it back.
that's fine. You can do that. But I would have. I would have. That's why I felt bad yesterday.
It is what. Oh, you did. Why would you feel bad?
Well, because I didn't want to see you get
You started it.
Like,
What do you mean? Why would you feel? I mean,
well,
like
Jimmy started it. We know that.
What?
I came in like third. And yeah, was my tweet objectively funny? Yeah, sure it was. And it got
Nice pat on the
75
back.
likes, and I was very proud of it.
what's going on right here? Why is this guy with a cloak and like a big old stick? What is happening?
Oh,
You
cloak,
never know.
cloak guys out there. Listen, that
That's
guy.
a thing.
Jimmy, what does he look like out there? I can't see.
He's wearing a.
He's
black
wearing a
cloak
trench coat. He's
and-
wearing a.
Oh,
it's not a
he's-
cloak. It's a trench coat. He's shirtless underneath it, and he has a big walking stick. He walks.
That's awesome.
On Thursdays when we have the concerts, he just looms around
He's
the
honestly.
concert.
He's dressed up like he's about to go to PotterCon.
You know what he kind of looks like? He kind of looks like Jeepers Creepers. He's kind of the Jeepers Creepers guy, and he just walks around. I've talked to him. Very nice fella. Don't know
Okay.
what's with the shtick and the stick, but that's just what he's got. A 7-foot tall Gandalf the Grey walking stick.
That's pretty cool.
You shall not pass. Like that's all I'm thinking of this whole time. I'm going to be nice though. So you said
Speaking
he's nice.
of sights and sounds of Hamilton, I get into the office today, and there's a Dodge Challenger limo outside.
Yeah, there was a Stretch Challenger.
Really?
I've
Stretch
never
Challenger.
seen anything like
Shout
that
out,
before.
and no free ads, but Savannah Knights, the local limousine company with a Stretch Challenger.
I mean, that was preposterous.
It was right. I
Did it
think
look
it was
sick?
picking up Jeremiah.
Yeah.
I think it was picking up Jeremiah.
That's what it was?
At his apartment.
Bringing him here.
Sports talk? Anybody?
Yeah,
Sports talk,
probably.
anybody?
I guess.
We're getting the train back on the tracks. I don't even know where we're at time wise.
You
that's
have
concerned.
5 minutes left.
5 minutes left. Okay. So with that being said, so during the downtime of trying to get that interview up and rolling, shout out to Nick Elam. We tried. Love to catch up with him at some point. But nonetheless, the inventor of the Elam ending wanted to say Elam ending one more time as far as that goes. But during that, we were waiting for the announcement of the inductees for this year's 2024 Cincinnati Bengals Ring of Honor. And we now know who that is. So I know we touched on it a little bit ago, but just kind of resetting this a bit just to kind of dive all in so everyone can participate in this. The 2 inductees for the Ring of Honor for the Cincinnati Bengals is who again?
Tim Krumrie and Corey Dillon are the 2 inductees for the Bengals this year. Corey Dillon, the Bengals' leading rusher, and then obviously Tim Krumrie on one of those Super Bowl teams.
So, like in years past, everyone was like, okay, Chad Johnson, obviously he's a no-brainer to put in, but like there's older veteran players that deserve to be in before him. So with Chad being in, there was really I didn't really feel like there was any hot takes as far as who should be in this year. I know people, some people had preferences of who they would like in. Was there a preference for you guys of who would you have preferred to see get into this year's class?
I thought Corey Dillon absolutely had to get in this class. I thought it was a no-brainer, and I thought without the off-the-field issues with the organization, he would have been in already. I mean, he's distantly the Bengals' leading rusher, almost 2,000 yards more than the next guy. And if you compare him to everyone else on that list, statistically, no one's really close. I mean, some people, obviously, what Dave Lapham's done since he retired, he belongs in there, and what he's done on the radio. And then Chris Collinsworth is probably one of the most recognizable Bengals of all time. He'll get in eventually, but purely on the field contributions to the Cincinnati Bengals, I don't think anyone on that list is close to Corey Dillon. So I'm glad he got in.
I think Lap should have gotten in, but I guess they're just waiting for that one. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
I don't
going
know.
to get in, but I just feel like at some point Lapp is definitely up there in age a little bit. I would like to see him in and let him enjoy it and let his name sit on the walls of Paycor Stadium for a little bit longer. But that's okay. Nonetheless, Corey Dillon most certainly deserved it. So the other guy, who was the other guy again?
Crumrye.
Don't know who that is, but I'm sure he was great as well. What era did he play in?
Defensive tackle in the
It was 83 to
80s,
90,
I think?
83
80s.
through 94.
So
yeah.
broke his leg. Real gruesome.
Really?
Real nasty. Look that up on your own time.
So that for that, the Ring of Honor game will be what, the Bengals and the Commanders. What week
Commanders,
is
yes.
that? I don't even know what week
week
they play. I think it's early on in the season, right? Like in the first month.
I think
Yes.
it's the second or third week of the season. I think it's after the Chiefs.
So, like with this Ring of Honor too, but this is the fourth class that's being inducted. Like, so the season ticket holders, are any of you season ticket holders?
I am.
So, did you get? I mean, so walk us through that. Do you get a vote? Did
Yeah,
you vote?
you get to vote. You get
Oh.
to pick 2 people off the ballot and
Okay.
and
Did
vote
you
them in.
submit it? Did you take advantage of
Yeah,
it?
I voted for Corey Dillon and Bob Trumpy. So
Nice.
one for 2. I thought Trumpy. I want some of these old guys to get in, kind of for the same reason you said with Lapham. Not that he's on that end of the spectrum quite yet, but the older guys that contributed to the organization, I want to see them get their due before they pass on. It doesn't quite hit the same when a family member is representing you or something. So
Yeah.
I really want to get some of these old guys in, but again, no complaints with these two. When you're playing catch up like the Bengals are right now with the Ring of Honor and a lot of great players, you're going to leave guys that deserve to be in out for a couple years. And they're still going to be playing catch up for another couple years. And then eventually we're going to get to a point where we have, some real solid debates about guys who should be in and shouldn't be in. But I think everyone on that list this year of nominees deserves to be in and will probably be in at some point. It's just picking the order at this point, which is always tough.
Yeah.
Reed, did you have a take of anyone that you wanted to see in, or are you fine with the 2 that got put in?
Well, like I don't know whole lot about the Bengals like history. Like before I became a fan around 2002, don't know a whole lot.
Fair.
But the first superstar, the first star of the team was Corey Dillon. I told this when we were filibustering earlier. It was the first memory that I have of going to Paul Brown, now Paycor Stadium. Corey Dillon was the star. John Kitna was the quarterback. And, I just remember Corey Dillon. It was a couple weeks after he broke the single-game rushing record, and, like, my dad telling me about it. I had no clue what was going on. I think we were playing the Seahawks that day. And I remember Corey Dillon scored a couple times, and I just, like, it's those core memories that get you through your fandom later on in your life, and Corey Dillon absolutely deserves it. As I mentioned, don't know a whole lot about the older guys. So if they say they're deserving, if the people that watch, if my dad and the fans that are older than I say they're well-deserving, then they're well-deserving. That's who am I to gatekeep anything.
Do you believe that, so the season ticket holders get to vote? Do you believe that, now is it all the season ticket holder vote, or is there
No.
levels to
Season
it?
ticket holder votes, I think, are like 30% of it or something, 40% of it. It's kind of like the All-Star game format, if I remember correctly, where fans vote for the first returns.
Is it like politics where your vote doesn't matter?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe.
What? I mean, what if all the season ticket holders voted for Chris Collinsworth? But we've seen the popular vote doesn't always work. So
I don't know that there's an electoral college for the Bengals Ring of Honor, but
You
I
never
could
know.
be wrong.
Could be wrong.
By the way, so Ickey Woods is not in. Ickey Woods wasn't even a nominee. That's the name that's not. Like, is there a name that's not on this nominee list even that surprises you? Because I thought I'm
Ickey-
surprised Ickey's not on there.
Ickey is that's a story of more pomp and circumstance than it was. Like he was only their running
your
back
cold
for like
cuts?
2 years. Like he was like obviously very famous. He's in the commercial. He's got the famous celebration and everything like that. But like he wasn't their running back for all that long.
Again, the 21 class: Ken Anderson, Paul Brown, Anthony Munoz, Ken Riley. 22 was Willie Anderson, Isaac Curtis. Last year, Chad Johnson and Boomer Esiason, and then of course we just talked about the 2 current inductees that were just announced earlier today. I'm staying on. Oh, that's good. Telling me to go to break. That's good because I'm all mentally frazzled right now. So we'll step away for a few moments. We'll have more Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. When we come back, let's stay with the Cincinnati Bengals a little bit. Again, the Ring of Honor class just announced, but a couple Bengals headlines kind of heading in with camps opening up. A couple key dates to keep an eye on as far as camps open up, rookies when they report, when the full team reports, first preseason game, first open practice. We have all of that coming up. Plus, an update on the contract of Mims at this point, because I know Jacob and I talked before the show, kind of surprised that has not been completed yet. I don't think that's getting enough attention. Are Bengals fans worried about that? We'll discuss when we come back. More Off the Bench next. All right, welcome back. Justin Kinner, we got Jimmy, we got Reed, we got Elliot, we got Jacob. Guys, a little bit of a bumpy start to the show, but we got it back on the tracks.
We're cruising now.
Yeah, I mean, we got like 2 tires left, but yeah, they're on.
They're catty corner.
Yeah, correct.
So we're good.
So we're good. It's balancing each other out.
Speaking before, just getting us a little off sports, by the way.
Of
so
course,
I
we've
woke
been
out.
on it
I walk out yesterday. My Chevy Silverado has a flat tire.
Right.
So I'm like, whatever. So I get home yesterday, and the contraption in which I have to get my spare is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm new to being a truck owner, so it sits underneath the bed. I have to take my key, unlock this thing. Then I've got to stick a pole like in there and spin it as it lowers like a chain to get my spare tire. Then I have to get the jack and like push it up against the spinning thing, and then the tire falls down, and then the tire falls down, and what happens? There's just rust everywhere on the tire, so I can't even put that tire on. But it's just the most convoluted thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I saw you rolling into work today in your big old work truck.
The D's.
Yeah, the
big
F350.
diesel.
I heard you coming about 15 minutes down the road. I think I heard you start it in the driveway.
It is.
Just a wild car.
Yeah.
Drew
All right.
Garrison, $10 super chat. Reed must publicly acknowledge me as a work truck owner.
Yeah, I publicly acknowledged you yesterday, but here you go, Drew. Because you now pull a boat, you do have a work truck. You do have a work truck while it's pulling the boat. While it's pulling the boat. When it's not pulling the boat, it's still a show truck. And Molly came in to hear me say something positive about the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds have one of the top 5 players in Major League Baseball in Elly Cruz. There's the positive thing. So
And you meant that.
I did.
You could have said something you didn't mean. You mean that.
Yep.
He could have been like, they won 5 out of their last 7.
That's right. He could have.
5 out of the last 10, too. I mean,
Kirby
that's
did drop
500.
that last night again.
I mean, he said they didn't finish below 500 in the last 10. I mean, that would have been a compliment. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Amarius Mims, still unsigned.
That's right.
This week, again, you had Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze, who had yet to sign their rookie contracts. That was the talking point for a lot. I think it's, obviously very important when your quarterback has yet to sign, especially a rookie. But obviously that contract that gets done, they take care of that yesterday with the, between Dunze, Williams, and the Bears. But the Bengals kind of flying under the radar as far as noise. We had Jay Morrison on a while back. Remember saying, hey, as noisy as the offseason started, it's actually been fairly quiet. They've been able to ride the ship as far as that's concerned. You have the, T. Higgins is content heading into the year. Would have liked a long-term deal, but content. He signed the tender. He's good to go. Hendrickson had a bad day. Bad 2 days, and then he got over it and good to go. Smooth sailing. I don't think we're at a panic situation yet, Bengals fans, or are we? I'm kind of curious. Amarius Mims has yet to sign his rookie deal. Is this a big deal? Not a big deal? Where are you at with this as far as Mims not signing his deal yet?
Yeah, no, first-round pick, not signing his deal now a couple months from the draft. You obviously start to ask some questions. People already were concerned with Amarius Mims and how he was going to contribute to the team this year and drafting players to stash and use in the future. A lot of Bengals fans were not happy with that, and this just kind of puts a bigger spotlight on him potentially not being there for training camp. But training camp doesn't start till Wednesday the 24th. I'm not going to be concerned until Thursday the 25th. If this contract isn't signed the day after practice starts, I'm pressing the panic button, all the alarms are sounding, and I'm going to be really, really nervous. But until that point, until he misses a practice, I'm not scared. J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner still haven't signed contracts yet in Minnesota. They were both there for all of their camp before the break, before training camp. Mims was here for his whole thing. He did the whole media day, song and dance. I'm really not worried about him not signing, but we're about 6-7 days away from it becoming a real issue.
I don't think it's a big deal yet. I think it's a weird deal to be one of the last 5 players to sign your contract. It certainly doesn't give anybody confidence that he hasn't done it yet. But I wouldn't say it's a freak-out worry thing because Caleb signed yesterday. Caleb signed 4 years, $39 million guaranteed. It's just probably something with a ticky-tack contract thing.
It's the bonus structure.
Is the bonus structure?
Is what has been reported. It's not confirmed yet, but that's what's been.
Yeah. I think one of the hold-up for the Caleb Williams thing was interestingly enough, he wanted the franchise tag to be waived after the 4 years were up. He said, no, I don't want to be part of the franchise tag, put that in the contract. Obviously, the Bears refused, but that was one of the holdups from getting the deal done. I think it's something ticky-tacky, like Jacob just said. I'm not too worried yet, but it is weird. It doesn't give anybody confidence that he's doing this.
What I've taken away is the fact that the rookies have become a lot more like, I don't think we've heard as many. I don't think I have heard more, not disputes, but just long-term negotiations between rookies and their teams than this year alone. Like, you could tell rookies who are, again, when you talk about the NIL era now, where they're working out NIL deals in college now. So I think their athletes are becoming smarter when it comes to contracts and stuff, and kind of, well, it doesn't hurt to ask. They're learning. You might as well ask, and if you're told no, then fine. But I don't mind Mims doing this, trying to, get that money a little bit more up front. I don't mind Caleb Williams asking to, waive the franchise tag, option or whatever. The Bears did not do it, right? I know they got the deal done.
That wasn't reported in the signing if they did.
Yeah, I don't know if it's confirmed or not if they didn't include it. I doubt that they did.
I don't think they did.
I bet you teams around the league, if you think teams are mad at the Browns for doing a fully guaranteed contract, it kind of eliminates the purpose of even having the franchise tag to begin with. Because if a rookie can work that into his deal, I know Caleb's a big-time prospect, but if Caleb Williams, a rookie quarterback who's yet to throw a pass in the NFL, can work that into his contract, you'll never see that in any high-profile contract ever again, which would totally eliminate that. I didn't think that would get done, and I don't think it got done, but they ended up getting the contract signed, so that's good.
I wouldn't be like super surprised, because Caleb Williams knows he's the meal ticket for the Chicago Bears franchise. Rookies having more power than ever right now, especially rookie quarterbacks, and it's rightfully so, because the formula is there in the NFL, and it's you have to have a really good quarterback to win a Super Bowl. If he believes he's a really good quarterback, then he's going to ask for whatever he wants, because he knows the Bears can't say no. The Bears need to win. The same way the Bengals need to win. Every other team needs to win, and the way to do that is with a really good quarterback. So I wouldn't be surprised that he's using his power in that way.
Jimmy, Mims, you worried?
Nope. I feel like every time people start to worry about a contract like this, it's just small details that teams are going through. Like you guys kind of talked about where the bonus goes, and I think it ends up getting ironed out before they need to report, and I think it will. And I really don't. I never really worry about that stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, and Reed too. The other thing about this is a lot of times I don't look too much into this stuff because this is the leverage week. This is they don't sign this for a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months after the draft because they're like, well, the team ownership, they're not worried about it until the week before camp, and it's like then you start getting the pressure from the coaches, like, well, we kind of need all of our guys. We need to get him. He didn't have we talked about that. He didn't play in a lot of games in college. We really need him out there. This is that week where you test to see who has that leverage. Rookies rarely have a lot of leverage, but you would like him out there. I think it's going to get done. I'm not even really too worried about it. I don't think anybody in here is.
Yeah, I tell my wife this all the time. Let's not worry about problems that aren't a problem yet.
I like that.
And then you'll cross that. If you ever heard the phrase, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm not going to worry about it until it is an actual problem. I think it is just leverage. He's going to sign. He's going to be a Cincinnati Bengal. It's all okay. It's all going to be okay. So, no, I'm not worried about it right now.
All right, key dates for the Bengals. Again, a lot of different. I think the Texans fully reported, yesterday? They have that Hall of Fame game on August 1st. I think it's a Thursday night, so it's 2 weeks from today, I believe, is the first preseason game, which is wild, that Hall of Fame game as far as that goes. But so they're reporting. I know the Bears are reporting to camp this weekend, which is why all of a sudden you started to hear people kind of get anxious regarding the contract for him. So coming up this Saturday, rookies will report for the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals rookies report for training camp coming up this Saturday. Next Tuesday, the 23rd, that's when veterans report for training camp. And then on Wednesday, the 24th, that's the first full training camp practice. Season ticket and waitlist members only can attend. Will you be attending, Jacob? Or will you be working?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what's happening with the work schedule. I know one of the training camp practices is on a Saturday, so I'm going to try to get down for that. But the midweek ones, I think we'll see what happens here. We may try to go down there and see what we're allowed to do.
Filming-wise.
Whether we're allowed to get in there and film some content.
All we need is just one video of Joe Burrow throwing a football.
With that beautifully almost bald
head.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just zipping it in.
It's that easy.
Jacob told me he's going to shave his head too because Joe shaved his.
We'll see come week one. if Joe's still rocking the buzz and I'm feeling real good about the Bengals, the hair might go bye-bye.
I got a haircut scheduled for tomorrow. I don't know what I'm gonna go with. I might be cool too. I might get a buzz.
Do
Get
it.
a buzz cut. Might go with the old. Give me a burrow.
I always love
me a
fresh fade Kenner.
Yeah.
Fresh fade. I haven't had a fresh fade in a while. I got a wedding this weekend, so I
That's
have
good.
a haircut lined up for tomorrow. My barber, he's no longer working where I normally go, so I don't know if I have to follow him or get a new barber. I'm gonna figure it
Oh,
out.
you have to follow him.
I don't know why he left though, so I'm just kind of sitting back and waiting.
Cheating on your barber is.
Yeah.
Cheating on your
I mean,
barber.
that's crazy.
That is.
Can't be done.
Oh, God.
I've got big problems if I cheat on my hairstylist.
That's right.
Big problems.
Double whammy.
That's an expensive split, am I right?
Right. No doubt about it.
I've never been to a open practice for any NFL team. Like what? Like you just.
I go
What
every
is
year.
that experience like?
I go every year for the Bengals, every year that I can at least. I think it's fun. I just go out there, watch them practice, see the rookies, see how they look in the new jerseys, watch them, watch Burrow throw, watch the receivers run routes. I like watching the individual drills, defense hitting pads and stuff. I don't know. It's just a little taste of football when you're still a couple weeks out, so it feels good.
My thing with that is like I feel like whenever I watch back some stuff about like the Lions' new guys or something, and I just think everything they do is like so good because they're not real. Like they're not. Like I guess they're just practicing. So I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna be next up. Like, and then more often than not, in the recent years, it's kind of tricked me into thinking that a lot of guys were gonna be super good. So I took last year off from really paying attention and all that stuff, and it ended up working out. So.
Well, my favorite. This is that game we do with quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks come in, they put weight on. Oh man, he beefed. I think Burrow put weight on this year,
Yeah.
right? So but I remember Lamar did the same thing. Did he? No, he lost weight heading into this year. He beefed up
Lamar
last year.
looks frail from the early training camp.
But this is why I laugh. Every year the take changes because when Lamar came in jacked up, man, Lamar, he can be great. Now he had an MVP year, so But why go down? Why slim down then? Like why not just do what worked before? That's what cracks me up. I think it's like a mental thing. Like, hey, I came in jacked up last year. I need to mix it up this year, come in a little bit slimmer. I'm not really sure, but regardless, Joe Burrow apparently beefed up a little bit.
Yeah, I think he said 15 pounds heavier and like 20% stronger was the quote.
Yeah.
I love putting a number on what percentage stronger you are. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm about 15 pounds heavier and like negative 20% stronger. So I'm right there with you, JB. Right there with you, JB.
I beef up every year, and it has not improved my performance whatsoever.
That's not what I heard. Harlem Globetrotters, 2 for 3 from the floor.
I got that video right here. In fact, we'll watch.
You
that
email
as
it
a
to
team.
me. I'll put it on the stream.
Okay, let's get it. They made me dance and everything. It was bad.
That's
you
that's
dance.
great.
Yeah. I stuck to the the movie Hitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just stuck to the go back
Nice.
and forth. Go back
Yeah,
and
there you go.
forth.
Keep it simple.
Hitch is a good one. Kevin James. What's your favorite Kevin James movie?
Well, Hitch is very good, but I'm a big King of Queens guy. Love King of Queens from a sitcom perspective, of course.
Kevin James acting in Pixels was out of this world.
Was he?
Yeah,
That's what I heard.
World.
That's what I heard. I'm a big Paul Blart guy myself.
I didn't. Did you guys see the movie where he was Sean Payton? What was that?
Yeah,
movie?
that one was
Was he
incredible.
good in that?
Incredible. If you know what it was incredible from the sense of if you know what Kevin James looks like and you know what Sean Payton looks like, it's a pretty funny movie to watch because
What was that
they
movie
don't look
called?
a lot alike. I don't know, but it was.
We have
about
like
the
30
bounty.
seconds left in the segment. I'm gonna find this real quick. I'm gonna see what everybody guess the Rotten Tomatoes score for that
Like
movie.
14.
We just found out. I just told you yesterday that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give a grade. It just gives a percentage of people that like it.
43.
Home team.
Roger wants to know who played Greg Williams.
What? No, I'm guessing. You said guess.
It was called Home Team.
Oh, there we go. All right,
All right.
let's go to break.
Wait. What's your guesses? We got one
43.
guess. 43.
What was the guess?
I said 14.
I guess 43.
Answer 21%.
Oh.
1 in 5 like the movie.
Big
That's
numbers
wild.
guy.
So someone in here likes it.
That's right. Who is it?
Well, Jacob said it was incredible. So
Incredible. Yes, in the same way 1-star horror movies are incredible because you laugh the whole time.
incredible. That might be the worst take
That's probably
ever
fair.
heard in my life. More Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. We'll have Elliot's headlines coming up next.
Well, hey, it's that fun time of the show where we do the ad reads. Whoop, whoop. So, without further ado, thank you guys for watching us. Please give us a like. Please give us thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We appreciate you guys every single day. Just a reminder, there will be no show tomorrow. We have a very busy weekend, making sure that we still have jobs and all that stuff. So we'll be back on Monday after today's show. Casey will be back, which I know you guys are very excited about that. But the show is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data center world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
Productivity.
That's right, Jimbo. Visit Encore.tech. The path to innovation begins right here in this room. Are you still drinking regular water? What? Did you know that alkaline water has been shown to have superior hydration benefits in a clinical study versus regular water? What? And there's a new premium alkaline water out there. It's Pawnee. It's Pawnee. And I have to tell you, this stuff tastes great. It's made in Hamilton, Ohio, just like Readeroo. Pawnee uses natural limestone filtration, unlike artificial processing that many other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water that is also the best tasting water in the world. Visit PawneeWater.com. That's PAHHNI water.com.
What was that?
Where you can buy this great tasting. It's P to the H to the NNNI. Yes, that's Pawnee. P to the A to the HHNI. Yes, that's Pawnee. P to the A to the hit it, Jacob.
Oh, looking me up and down, looking at my.
That is a little Fergie on this little.
That's
sundae.
Pawnee-licious.
Yes, it's Pawnee-licious, and it is delicious. You know what else is great? Is Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, create an account, redeem the code OTB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed, and it really is the lowest price guaranteed. I know our boss, Trace, he was texting about it yesterday. He went to the FCC game. He got the tickets via Game Time, and they were I don't know how his experience was, but I know his experience with Game Time was absolutely fantastic. So shout out to Game Time. It truly is the best ticketing app out there.
He said it was the most electrifying 1-0 home team loss he's ever seen.
Wow.
Shame. FCC's missing like all their good players though, so they'll be back soon.
That's the thing about this sport
They'll be back
and this
soon.
league, man. You just get good players, and they don't play in the games.
Well, there's more important soccer to be played.
Any soccer is more important.
Correct.
Not anymore.
We're efforting to get Trace in here. I just shot him a note.
Okay.
Game Day 513 says, I know Reed's political affiliation. No, you don't. It's the best kept secret
No one
on this
knows.
show. No one knows.
No one knows.
No one knows. All right, let's go back to Radio Land. And hang on, I gotta get ready.
That was pretty good.
Are on.
Hey, look at that. We're back. We're back. And what a very independent take of yours a little bit ago. Just guessing. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? No one knows?
Oh,
Nobody
no.
knows?
Still wrong. No one knows.
Still wrong? Oh.
What are we talking about?
Was it?
He was saying he was assuming that I'm an independent.
I was guessing. Just a guess.
No.
Saying that ain't the
I was like,
the
No,
case,
no,
Kenny.
no.
But no one
Reed's
knows.
nowhere near the middle, brother.
Might tip over, I'm just saying. But no, we welcome you back off the bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We opened up, talking a little TBT. We tried to do an interview, of course, with the inventor, the creator of the Elam ending, Nick Elam. A little bit internet connections. We can confirm, so people don't think it was on our end. It was his internet, and that's fine. But we appreciate him making the effort to come on the show, and we'll catch up with him later on. But appreciate him taking that time. Talked about, again, the newest inductees into the Cincinnati Bengals Ring of Honor. Talked about Mims not signing his rookie contract yet, of course. And then, of course, gave you a couple of the key dates as camp, again, beginning to open up for teams around the league, including your Cincinnati Bengals. Rookies already reporting on Saturday. The first open practice, I believe, is next Wednesday. First full practice for the Bengals next Wednesday. So we're getting closer and closer. That's all I care about as far as that's concerned when it's all said and done. But you know what? I think for the rest of the show, the next hour, what we got, it's 11:10. So I think the rest of the show is just going to be, because there's so many sports going on right now, so much sports. Yep. I don't even know if you're going to hear from me, Jacob, and Reed, and Jimmy again, because there's just so much sports going on that I think that's going to take up the rest of the hour as far as Elliot's headlines are concerned. How wrong am I? Elliot's headlines, ladies and gentlemen.
Mouse says there's a lot, so let's see if I can find them. Headlines. The Open is underway, where Justin Thomas leads the field at 3 under par. Some of us, including myself, have a bet at plus 9,000 for Justin Thomas to win this event. So that would be a fun little hit.
Place. Rich boy Elliot.
Rich boy. Noren, Hogard, Rose, Henley, Straka are all 2 under par, tie for second place.
Straka, Jimmy's guy.
Hole in one. WNBA news. The Fever lost to the worst team in the WNBA last night, 101-93. What were they? The Lynx? I don't know who they were.
Minnesota?
I don't know.
It's the Lynx.
I don't know who they were. Caitlin Clark broke the single-game assist record with 19.
And?
She also added 24 points and 6 rebounds.
And?
Well, if you're going to push me, I guess 6 turnovers as well.
I knew you had it written down.
I think she averages 6 turnovers. That's kind of wild, no?
But her assist turnover ratio is 11.
Yeah, I guess. That's pretty cool. 19 assists. That's a single-game record for women's professional basketball. FC Cincinnati, as we mentioned, they lose 1-0. Brian Gutierrez's 69th minute goal was the difference. Chicago Fire hands the orange and blue back-to-back losses.
What minute?
69th minute.
Nice.
Tough. Musketeers, some Xavier news. Trayvon Blewett's jersey has been retired.
No one will ever wear 5 again.
All right.
Not a Trayvon Blewett guy? Not a Trayvon Blewett guy?
Well, he's fine. It's just like...
You retire anyone's number now?
How are you going to complain that there's not stuff to go into your headlines, and I give you something to put in your headlines, you're like, well, no one cares.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
What is that?
Valid. Very valid. Very valid.
Valid?
Valid.
Finally, Alex Young got DFA'd from the Giants.
Get crawled.
Wow.
Get
Headline.
crawled. That's all we got, because we did talk about the Marius Mims and Corey Dillon and Tim Cromrack thing. So.
Yeah, I know. I should check with your headlines to make sure, I'm just taking them out. Because, again, we're fighting headlines versus actual talking points at this point as far as that's good. By the way, it was the Dallas Wings.
Wow.
Dallas
The Wings.
That's a team I didn't know existed.
The Dallas Wings.
Enrique Agumbawale.
I have an Enrique Ngumbawale Notre Dame jersey.
Really?
Not, yes. Won money on her buzzer beater in the Final Four and championship that year.
Yeah.
Then
That
used it
rocked.
to buy a jersey.
That did rock.
Big WNBA All-Star guy I am. They announced the three-point competition. Don't recognize any of the names in there. Caitlin Clark, the best three-point shooter, is not in the three-point competition.
The actual best three-point shooter in the WNBA also wasn't in the three-point competition.
Who's the
Brianna
best?
Ionesco.
Oh, she's the.
She wasn't?
No.
What? Why?
I don't know.
They hate their fans, dude.
They're bad at marketing.
That's really weird.
She already did a All-Star Game 3-point contest, no?
With
Yeah,
Steph
earlier
Curry.
this year.
Steph Curry.
But I feel
Yeah.
like for your own league, you would do it for your own league as well.
Is the WNBA bad at marketing their stars?
Ooh, coming up next.
Ooh. Is the WNBA incredible at marketing their stars?
I was gonna say they put their
pretty
best
good job. Yeah.
they put their best 3-point shooter in the NBA's 3-point contest.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the WNBA more than ever right now. So I think they're doing just fine.
That's it.
You see Dabo already complaining about the 12-team college football playoffs.
No, good. That's awesome.
Saying it's going to bring about unintended consequences, by the way. But when the reporter asked him what would those unintended consequences be, he couldn't give any.
Okay.
So now you have Paul Feinbaum who's taking shots at him saying he hasn't been to the playoffs in 4 years.
That's right.
And he's not going to be in this year. So Dabo, just get over it. You're going to be watching from home.
Yeah, one thing everyone, kind of fails to point out with Dabo, I know he has 2 national championships, has been to 4. He's one of the most dominant coaches of this era, but he's never even fielded a competitive team without a generational talent at quarterback. I mean, Trevor was the number 1 recruit coming in the country, came in, was great as a freshman, and obviously won for a while. Deshaun Watson, second place in 2 Heismans, an unbelievable college quarterback. And then DJ Ugalele kind of burns out as a top recruit that doesn't really work out. And then Cade Klubnik last year kind of treads water. So I don't really feel like he's really done that well without top of the pack guys.
Poor Dabo. I will say the thing about Dabo is when he runs out of the when he runs out of the tunnel and he's racing everybody, that's when he's at his best. Like, it's not when he's coaching on the field. It's when he's just trying to make himself bigger than everybody else.
I can't think of another coach that has had a.
I hate him so much.
But I can't think of another coach that has had like a steeper fall while actively coaching without any kind of scandal than Dabo.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to understand, like, the college football playoff era, Ohio State wins the inaugural one. Alabama, of course, is Alabama. But, like, Dabo and Clemson blew out Alabama.
Absolutely.
I mean, they handled their own. They beat Ohio. They handled Ohio State. They handled Alabama. They won multiple national championships. They went to many playoffs with multiple quarterbacks. I've just never seen a coach just thrive for a window of time. I mean, again, start out slow, then take off and dominate, and then just fall off the way that he has. I've never seen anything like it. Dabo is his resume is very, very good.
For sure.
But he's not one of my top coaches in college football right now, because he's just stubborn and refuses to, like, he won't go to the portal.
It's an inability to adapt.
Imagine if Zach Taylor said, hey, we're not going to add talent to the Bengals. We're only going to, or in free agency, we're just going to draft and we're going to develop. We're not going to spend money in free agency. That's such an idiotic approach to that. You don't have to like the portal, but my gosh, that's the lifeblood of college football and athletics right now. It's just stubbornness. It's wild.
Yeah, when rules change in sports and allow you to better your team in different ways, you need to take advantage of them or you're going to fall off the face of the earth, which is exactly what Clemson's doing right now. Dabo Swinney, for the last decade or so, was the heavy favorite to take over for Alabama whenever Nick Saban retired. He played at Alabama. He coached at Alabama to start his career, and then he's been at Clemson now, obviously, for a while. But everyone thought that he was going to come back to Alabama and take over when Saban retired. When Saban did inevitably hang it up at the end of the season, his name was never even mentioned. I mean, no one thought about bringing Dabo to Tuscaloosa, and it's because he doesn't use the transfer portal and he doesn't use the different things you can use now to field a championship team. He relies on high school recruiting. He relies on a 2010s method of winning games, and it's just not a brand of football or a brand of winning now, and it's not something that kids want to play for anymore. So I think Clemson's going to continue to fall unless they change their ways, unless Dabo changes their ways. I don't think he'll ever get fired, because what was Clemson before Dabo Swinney? They were absolutely nothing. And then now, even though they're not competing for national championships, they're still a top 20 program in football. I mean, they went 8-4 and won a bowl game, and we acted like it was the worst season of all time, which is pretty good for most of the country. So they're still obviously an upper echelon program, even if they have fallen out of that first tier. And I don't think he's going anywhere for what he's built them into, but he's certainly not the coach he used to be.
No, and then we saw, I think we talked about this too, you have Florida State, Clemson, the Big Ten, SEC, both not fond of either of those programs right now, and especially Florida State, because, well, they're kind of a noisy program. They're a disruptive program. After, of course, then I saw Sankey took a shot at the at Florida State yesterday. The commissioner for the SEC, basically bringing up the fact that, hey, Georgia had a big time argument to be in the college football playoff last year, but they didn't throw a temper tantrum and didn't anoint themselves as national champions. Obviously, a direct shot at Florida State.
Great quote. Elliot, did you see that one?
No.
Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, said Georgia was one of the 4 best teams last year, but you don't see us complaining about it.
All right. I mean, college football. So I'm glad they did this. I'm glad they put the 14 team or the 12 team in, so nobody has to complain about it. Florida State can't complain. Just get rid of the complaints. That's all I wanted. Get rid of the ability to complain.
I can't wait till UC's 13.
The complaints are never going to stop.
I'm not going to complain if UC's the 13th best team. They don't get in. That's where you lose me. If you want to complain that you're not the top 4 and you're the 5th and you barely miss it because your quarterback's hurt, I'll hear you out. If you're the 13th best team, I can't help you. Just be better. That's all there is to it. Because it's going to be, if you go undefeated, you're going to be in it.
That's right.
So if you do your job, if you win all your games, I don't care who your quarterback is. If you win all your games, you're going to get in. In the new era here.
And if you're Cincinnati and you're the number 13 team in the country, that's actually pretty damn good at this point, considering where they're trending with Satterfield
That's
leading
right.
the way.
That's right.
As far as that goes. Last thing on this, last college football point I have here, Will Howard, Ohio State quarterback, again, just continue to do some radio hits, some media hits before their camp again starts. 12-team college football playoff, I know you like it better than the 4. Ohio State, again, Will Howard goes on, and he was asked, okay, what's the level of your program right now? What do you have to accomplish in 2024 for it to be a successful season. And of course, no surprise, he says it's championship. You have to win the national championship. And I went to bat here, and again, very little nervous with my takes that I've been throwing out lately. But I'm not a fan of labeling any team championship or bust in a 12-team college football playoff era, especially when you got to play 17 games and you're kind of navigating through uncharted waters. We've never seen a college football season where teams have to play this many. Maybe it changes over time, but I'm not a fan of putting a championship or bust tag on any program out there, even Ohio State, who I do think is good enough to win a national championship. I think Georgia's good enough to win a national championship. I think there's a lot of really good teams who are capable of winning a national championship. There are some teams that are better than others, some programs that are built better than others, but I'm not a big fan of that. I'm kind of curious your guys' thoughts. In a 12-team college football playoff era, is it fair to put championship or bust expectations on any program? And I'm talking national championship, not conference championship.
If you're asking if it's fair, the answer is no. If it's the reality of the sport, then yes. I think there's no doubt about it for at least the last 20 years of my life, other than the year with the tattoo suspensions for Ohio State. It's been championship or bust every single year. I mean, we went 10-1 or 11-1 and won the Rose Bowl, and it was one of the worst seasons I can remember in my life rooting for Ohio State. So, yeah, I mean, it's championship or bust for a good group of teams at the top every single year. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, even Michigan now, it really is championship or bust. Anything less, even if you dominate all year and lose in the Elite Eight or Final Four, fans are not going to be happy.
I think there's like 4 programs where it's truly championship or bust. And then the rest, there are realistic expectations that you probably aren't going to beat Georgia this year. You might not beat Ohio State this year. Oregon, I think, is one of those teams where I think this season specifically it might be championship or bust. Because how many times is Oregon going to be there at the top 3, favorite to win a college football playoff championship? But nonetheless, I don't think it should be the expectation for a majority of these teams. I do think most of them now believe they probably can get there, and that path is available to them. But I don't think anybody's going to complain about playing. And what's the championship game going to be now? It's still the championship game, right? It's not the Rose Bowl.
So the
or
Elite
anything?
Eight is going to be set up for the New Year's Six Bowls, and then the Final Four is also going to be the last 2 of the New Year's Six Bowls. Those will rotate every year, and the national championship game, as it has been, is just the CFP national championship game,
which I think is cool.
I do, and then obviously the first round now at the higher ranked teams. Home field for the colleges. So I think that's going to be the greatest part that I think gets glossed over a little bit when you're talking about this format. You get excited about, teams 5 through 12 getting in and getting a shot, the group of 5 teams now being guaranteed a bid, but the first round is at home. And what's the best part about college football is home games and stadium atmospheres. I always thought it was a little bit weird that we play a 12, 13, 14-week college football season at these meccas to the sport, and then we end the season in, a metal box in Houston that was built 3 years ago. So, I never really understood that. I like that they're bringing in the iconic home stadiums back to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited. I think still being a student in college, they've already been talking about keeping dorms open for longer into December in preparation for a home playoff game in South Bend, which
I don't think they're going to have to worry about that.
Which would be pretty awesome if that were the case. But I think the 12-team playoff will be good. I think it'll keep more fans invested longer into the year. It'll get rid of if you lose one game, you're pretty much done unless you're a top team. I think the only thing that is going to be kind of toxic is the top programs in the country expecting to make it 20, 30 years in a row. I think that's going to get a little bit annoying. But other than that, I'm excited. I think the change will be good. I was sick of the 4-team. I was honestly more in favor of just the top 2 back in the day than I was the 4. So I think it'll be good change.
If you had to explain college athletics to someone who's not a sports fan, like we're conditioned to just talk college sports like it's just normal. It's not normal. There's nothing normal about college athletics. It's the most unfair, competitive, organized competitive field out there. It just doesn't make any sense. Imagine the fact that from a basketball standpoint, I call games for Wright State. The fact that I can look at Wright State and Duke and say that both are Division I basketball programs is absolutely insane to me. But that's what we do. And then we say, well, Division I teams, you could all compete for a national championship, but more than 95% of the field has no chance of ever winning a national championship. Hell, technically, though, I have argued Wright State has a better chance at winning a national championship in basketball than Bowling Green ever does of winning a national championship in college football. That's how even more intense and insane college football is from that perspective. But it is what it is. It's Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. We'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, I'm always fascinated by what your role was in college at Alabama. Again, so with that, like we saw a list that came out, the ESPN put out their top 25 college football stadiums. And our guy Jacob here, well, he stepped foot in a couple of these. He got to
12 of the 25.
12 of the 25.
I've been in 12 of the 25. I went and looked.
So we're going to throw out this list, and I'm kind of curious his thoughts on this because he's been a soldier on the ground.
That's right.
He's walked in these stadiums. All right, he's made it count. So I'm curious his thoughts on this list. We'll be right back. More Off the Bench next. All right, welcome back. Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. So obviously, being an Ohio State fan, our fan base is one of the most arrogant fan bases out there. Most
You don't say.
I'm just saying.
All right, Notre Dame.
I'm, again, a realist as far as that's concerned. But one thing is, and if I pissed Jacob off yesterday, I'm curious his take on this. I love Ohio State. I love going to watch games at the Shoe, but I also am very underwhelmed sometimes at the atmosphere at the Shoe.
I agree.
Oh, okay, wow.
I agree.
That landed pretty well. It's not a bad atmosphere by any means, but when I do go to the Shoe, I have one of my best friends. He's a big Tennessee fan, and he says night games at Tennessee, he goes, it just beats Ohio State into the ground as far as that's concerned, as far as the atmosphere goes. And the fascinating thing about all of this is at first I was just roll my eyes at that, but then I start paying a little bit closer attention. I'm like, you could feel the buzz and the energy just watching these night games at these SEC schools, and I'm like, yeah, it's not the same. I love Ohio State. I love to go watch games at the Shoe. In fact, I love to sit as close as I possibly can, but I know one time I sat up in C-Deck when Ohio State played Akron, and it was a night game.
Of
and
course.
it was like an awesome experience. I didn't care who they were playing. I'm like, just to take it, just sitting with friends, drinking beer, Ohio State game going on in the Shoe at night. It was unbelievable. I loved it. But that's not what college football is. College football is about the pageantry. It's about that energy. It's about that excitement. And I don't think the Shoe has that. So I saw this list that came out ranking the top 25 college football stadiums as far as that's concerned on ESPN. Again, top 25 college football stadiums, the Rose Bowl, Michigan, more, all included on this. I know the Shoe's on it. I didn't pay attention to how far down they were, though. They're seventh in the top 10. I don't think it's the worst. Let me rephrase it. I don't think it's the worst by any means, but for as arrogant as our fan base is, it is okay to acknowledge that there are significantly better atmospheres out there. There are some key things that play a role in why the atmosphere is not good there. I'm curious. I've never been to a game at Nippert, so I'm going to ask you guys about that. I'm sure you've been to a few games at Nippert, right?
I have.
You have. So I'm curious. What's the biggest game at Nippert you've been to?
I think it was the they played Houston. I think in one of their final games to get into the playoff. I don't know which exactly game it was.
The last game of the American season, right?
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So I will say I think Nippert is cool. I think it has the old-timey feel. I don't like the one back end zone there. I don't think that makes it any better. But the additions of the side are really cool with the boxes and everything. I like Nippert. It's not anywhere near probably a top 25 stadium in college football, but it's up there. It's close.
Atmosphere-wise, though, what was that atmosphere like?
Oh, Nippert Night's incredible.
Nippert Night's great. It's a great atmosphere, especially when you do a whiteout, stuff like that. Yeah, Nippert's pretty cool.
Notre Dame. How many Notre Dame? I mean, you go to a lot of Notre Dame games.
Hundreds, yeah.
Hundreds, he says.
I've been to
Hundreds. No, but that atmosphere. I mean, we're talking about stadiums, yes, but atmospheres too play a role in that. I'm assuming. So atmospheres play a role in kind of enhancing these stadiums as far as that's concerned. I mean, look, no one thinks of Purdue when you think of stadiums, right? Ohio State played at Purdue, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was, that I went to that game. That place stinks, as Jimmy would say. It stinks. But I mean, I'll never forget how loud that thing played. It was when they had Haskins, and they went to Purdue. They played at night, and it was just
that was the Rondell Moore game, right?
Yes. Haskins threw the ball 70 times that game. Unbelievable. That atmosphere, Purdue fans were just absolutely off the gourd. It was unbelievable. That place stinks, though. That stadium stinks. But Notre Dame atmosphere, what? Where do you rank it?
Notre Dame atmosphere is great. I think a lot of it is just built on tradition. All the game day traditions, the tailgating, the players walk, the Golden Dome, all that stuff, I think makes like an entire day out of going to a Notre Dame football game. I think that's why it's become such a big, like, it's one of the traditions of college football, just going to Notre Dame in general and doing all those things that make Notre Dame Notre Dame. I think the atmosphere itself is very good. Like, I wouldn't by any means say it's a top 10 atmosphere in the country. I think a lot of that has to do with kind of an older fan base and that they kind of get a bad rap for, which is true. I would agree.
You got masked the next morning. I mean, it's just, it gets a little intense.
Yeah, but night games are fun. I think night games anywhere are amazing. I've been to a fair share of great ones. Saw them beat Michigan in 2018, which was awesome. I mean, I've seen them beat Clemson a couple times, USC. Yeah, so they really get up for the big ones. They do the Irish wear green, which is like everyone wears green. They did that for Ohio State last year. That Ohio State game was the best atmosphere it's ever been.
One of the best wins in Notre Dame history.
Yeah. Okay. But that atmosphere, I think I had friends from Ohio State come up for the game. They said that was better than any game they've been to at the Shoe. And other than that, like your average day game, it's good, but it's.
I go to Notre Dame every year. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. Don't like Notre Dame. Don't care for it. I go every year because of what he just said. The traditions. It's like when you walk up to the stadium, it feels bigger than it is, just because of how old it is. I think there's something special about it. I like the atmosphere is not great because there are a bunch of old people there. It's not like a massive. It's not a pump up crowd type of environment. But I do like when they score touchdowns, they fling guys up on their shoulders and do the push-up thing. I think that's pretty fun. I love Notre Dame Stadium a lot. It's probably my favorite place to watch a football game.
Yeah, I've been to Notre Dame a couple times. I thought it was very cool. Like Jimmy said, the pregame and walking around and seeing the Golden Dome and touchdown Jesus and everything that goes with a Notre Dame game, incredible. I probably wouldn't have it in my top, 20 crowds, just because it is, half the lower bowl is, older people.
Correct.
With
crowd-wise, it's
like someone put in the chat here with their jerseys tucked into their Wrangler jeans, just clapping, eating their, communion wine and crackers. So,
telling people to sit down. Hey, trying to watch the game.
And not that doesn't happen everywhere. It just felt like that was a little bit more prevalent at Notre Dame. And granted, I've only been to day games, so I've never seen a rowdy night game, and I'm sure that'll be different. But I think my big thing with Ohio State, and I saw it a lot with Alabama being down there for 4 years, it's the same issue with Bryant-Denny Stadium and Ohio Stadium, where the ranked games, the games that could be close, the rivalry games, are unbelievable, probably second to none, maybe two of the best atmospheres in the whole sport. And then if you play a team that you're expected to beat by 30 or 40, which happens at least a couple times a year for teams like that, no one shows up because you just mark it down as a win and you don't really care to watch the game. And that really just makes me sick. I think if you're a student at a school or a fan of a team and you live close enough and you have tickets or whatever, I don't like the whole sentiment of a lot of these teams now just chalking up games as wins and not going to cheer on their team. I mean, Ohio State in the early 2010s would sell out every game. I mean, every single game, even against MAC teams, would be packed to the gills. And now, you're playing, I'm sure that game you're talking about against Akron, they're playing them again this year. I'm sure that game's going to have, less than 2/3 of the stadium full. So I think it's kind of the regression of college football where you're looking so far into the future, looking at the playoff and the rankings and the games that'll matter, that the games that don't quote unquote matter, people just don't even go to anymore.
Yeah, and the other thing too, especially, again, just dominating those teams, no one cares. That's why I also hate the primetime games for some of these, especially with the contracts changing by the networks. Big noon kickoff. The biggest games are noon kickoffs. The night games, you're getting the crap teams. I don't like that. Now, you talked about your time at Alabama. tell everyone real quick what your role was at Alabama, because your experience there plays a role in this list too, because you're the only one I think in this room that's been to, I think, more than a handful of these stadiums that are on this list.
Yeah, so for the last 4 years at Alabama, before I graduated, I filmed practices and games for the football team, traveled to all the bowl games, one away game a year, all the home games, everything like that. So I've been around the SEC, been to a lot of different bowl games, seen a lot of different stadiums. Very, very lucky to get that job and have that experience for the last 4 years.
All right, so this list, now number one stadium according to ESPN on this top 25 college football stadiums list, LSU Tiger Stadium, not the Rose Bowl. All right, not Alabama's Utah, but LSU. All right, LSU. Have you been to that stadium? You said you've been to 4 of the 5, the top 5. Either way, you've been to quite a few of those in that list. But LSU. So
yes,
what is it about this stadium then?
LSU at night is unbelievable. Death Valley, the fireworks, the lights, it gets very dark. The fans are incredible. The stadium bowls out very far, so there's not really a bad seat in the stadium. We were sitting pretty low. I was on the field for the first half, and then the second half we went and got seats in the stadium. It was the game 2 years ago that Jaden Daniels beat Alabama in overtime. LSU stormed the field, so I got to see that stadium and in full go, and everyone going 100% that whole night. So it was unbelievable. That stadium is the second best I've ever been to, just for the game. But that one was very, very good and certainly deserves to be in the top 5. I wouldn't have it won personally, but I don't hate that it is.
Yeah, again, the top 5, LSU, Tiger Stadium at number 1, the Rose Bowl number 2. If you're going to have the Rose Bowl at number 2, I'm surprised it's just not number 1. What is 1 to you?
1 to me is Neyland, Tennessee.
Okay.
I was there for the game that didn't go our way. And that one was one of the single. Yeah. I think I saw 4 losses in my tenure, so not that bad of luck. But Tennessee. That game they tore the goalpost down, threw it in the river. That game was the first game they had fireworks set up on the top of that stadium. It was unbelievable. One of, I think, the best college football games ever. If you remove, obviously what national championships mean and stuff like that, the meaning of different games are more. That was just a regular season game, but 52-49 with a missed kick and then a final drive to win the game. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than that in a rivalry that had gone completely one-sided. And Tennessee fans had lost 16 years in a row, and they still showed up and showed out and went crazy and sold it out and cheered their team to a victory. I have a lot of respect for Tennessee fans, even though I hate them with every bone in my body. But they're a good fan base that gets up for almost every game.
Amazing fight song.
Amazing fight song.
Tennessee's college baseball, too, is pretty badass at night.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's
like
incredible.
Those atmospheres are insane. I think Wright State played Tennessee in a regional 5-6 years ago, and they beat Wright State on a walk-off grand slam at the end, and I got goosebumps, and I wasn't even going for Tennessee. I got goosebumps at the way the crowd reacted. It was just absolutely insane, that college baseball game at Tennessee. But, yeah, the crowd, just the passion for the school and athletics in general,
unbelievable.
Pretty insane. As far as that goes. But, yeah, Notre Dame in the top 5, Beaver Stadium for Penn State, the whiteout games for that. Pretty insane.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to one
I haven't
whiteout
either.
game, but I really
It's
want to
high
go.
on my list.
So, and that, again, all their big games at night now, or at noon now.
Yeah.
So they don't get many big opportunities to play.
Whiteout
good
this
teams
year
at
was
night.
announced last night. It's
Washington.
going to be Washington. So the Washington
Washington's
game.
bad.
Welcome to the Big Ten, baby.
But they were good last
Washington's
year.
going to get stomped.
Husky Stadium's in there. Ohio
I've
State,
heard great things. I've never been.
Camp Randall, the jump around. Alabama's comes in at 9, and then Neyland coming in at 10.
I played with Penn State the other night on the new college football game, and I'll tell you, they made it very realistic with how that stadium
Felt like you were there?
Kinda.
The Mo Bamba is incredible.
Oh, it was incredible. And it was just like the person I was playing, he said it was like he never had a chance to win because of how loud they made it.
Did Bluffton University's Dwight Salzman Stadium make the top 25?
Honorable mention.
I think it saw it on the received votes category at the bottom.
Nice, good.
So not
good.
honorable mention. It was the category below.
Yeah.
Kyle Field looks pretty sick. That's on the
Very, very cool. It is twice as big as you think it is. And
Really?
obviously everyone's seen pictures and watched games there. When you walk in, it swallows you whole. It's a different animal. And when people act like Texas A&M's a cult, it's not acting. That is a full-blown cult. Those people are psychos, and the military leaders with their little dance.
Oh, yeah.
It's not very good. It's a great game to win. I think it would probably be a nightmare to go to College Station, Texas,
Yeah.
and take a loss.
Yeah,
I was just watching the replay of you dancing on the screen. Very, very funny.
Notre Dame's opening there this year, and my dad and I are still deciding if we want to go down because
You absolutely should. It's number one on my list of stadiums I tell people they should go to.
yeah, I want to. I think I've heard it's so weird, but very cool. But at the same time, if Texas A&M is any good, I think Notre Dame might have a tough time. Opening there.
Yeah.
We do have a super chat from Michael Rawl, $4.99. I watched Louisville beat Notre Dame in South Bend in 2014. The crowd looked like the crowd from NCAA football 2025 automated.
Well, the 2014 team was also not good, so they lost to Northwestern that year.
I forgot to tell. I went to Nippert when they played UCF. COVID year. It was a huge game, and the tickets were like $300. I somehow ran into tickets because only like 1/5 of the stadium could there's only like 5,000 tickets that were sold, and the entire game I was like, man, this crowd is so loud. There's this thing's a fifth full, and this crowd is so loud that I realized, like in the fourth quarter, they were pumping in noise. They were just pumping in through the speakers. Like it was like, and I was like, oh, that's just all automated. It's fake.
It's a little bit of cheating. A little bit of cheating. Before we wind down this segment, I received a text. And we head to our last segment. I received a text. I'm just going to read it because it's a family friend. Apparently, near the Dayton area, a friend of mine had lost her dog. So I'm just going to read this out for the radio people near Dayton. It's a golden doodle running with a harness and a leash. Her name is Louie. Please call 513-330-4311 if you've seen it. 513-330-4311 if you've seen Louie. Golden doodle, 40-pound, has a leash on.
That's the worst, losing the dog.
Horrible.
Losing the dog. What part of Dayton? Or is if it's not specified, it's all right.
There's a road called Social Row Road. We know where it's social. I don't know if it's in Dayton, but it's right near Dayton.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Say the phone number one more time.
It is 513-330-4311 if you've seen Louie.
All right. There you have it. So that wraps it up for the radio side of things, correct?
No, we have one more.
That's right. We do have one more.
We have one more.
We have one more.
For that one, I'm going to have – so I was doing this. I was going to see if I'm going to give an over-under for Reds players for the second half, if they can live up to that over. I'm going to give the over-under. You guys tell me if it's over-under.
Love
Perfect.
that.
I like it.
Love it.
I like it. That's what we're going to do next. More Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Three, 2, 1.
Talking Reds. I like it. You know what? What do you guys think they should do at the deadline?
That's a great question.
I mean, what do you guys think of that All-Star game on Tuesday night?
It really is just a shame that we can't buy or sell 500 by the All-Star break.
No, but
We lost a second.
Elly,
I'd buy it.
I probably would too.
But no, tomorrow, again, no Off the Bench tomorrow. So, we have to talk. We wish the Reds were back in action tonight. But at least when we come back next week, we're going to have actual games to talk about.
Thank God.
Thank God. I hate this week. I literally hate this week. It's my least favorite week ever. That's how you get stupid takes like the one I had yesterday that just pissed everybody off. I'm ready for this week to be over. I'm ready for next week. I'm ready to talk Reds baseball. The trade deadline is less than 2 weeks away. Obviously, camps are opening up for football. I'm just ready for next week just to start moving forward. But with that being said, we do wrap up the All-Star break today. Games resume tomorrow. And a little over-under presented by Elliott here surrounding your Cincinnati Reds.
So Elly De La Cruz has a 256 average, a 346 OBP, and 829 OPS. So I'm going to give you an over-under for those stats. I'm going to give you one for the home run stat just because I have it. I have it bet, and I thought it would be fun to talk about. So anyway, average, Elly De La Cruz over-under 265 for the season.
What's he at right now?
256.
256. I'm going to say he stays on. I'm going to go with the under, but again, I'm not going to overreact to average as you guys have taught me. So, he's still finding other ways to be effective. I'm going to go with the under as far as that goes.
I'm going to go under 265 as well, but again, like Kinner said, on batting average is not. Doesn't tell the whole story for him.
Yeah, I'll take the different opinion. I'll say over, but yeah, I'm not going to put too much weight on what he gets.
Under.
I'll take the under as well. OBP, he has a 346 OBP, Elly De La Cruz. Over under 360 OBP as the season ends.
I'm going to say over, and here's why. I want the urgency to pick up. I'm hoping that they don't blow this roster up, and I don't mean blow the roster up as far as like trade a bunch of pieces, but if they signal here at the deadline that they're not competing in the back stretch, I think you're going to see a lot of numbers drop. But I'm going to go with the over. because I don't really care about average as we talked about. But with this one, I care about because this is really where he makes his impact. I'm going to say the over because I just want to have that confidence that this is going to be a team that maybe isn't going to derail the hopes of all the fans at the deadline coming up. And that means they're going to be playing meaningful games. And I think you're going to get more inspired baseball by the Reds' new All-Stars. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the over as far as that's concerned just because, again, the guy is too damn good to be playing on a team that's not playing for anything in the back half.
Yeah, I think the strikeouts are going to come down a little bit in the second half, which is going to mean he's going to get on base more. So I'm just going to bet on him putting the ball in play a little bit more, which means good things will happen. I'll take the over.
I think he's going to get walks, so I'm going to say over 360.
I will. You know what? I think he's going to go over, and part of the reason I should have said this on the last take is they do play a much easier schedule in the in the second half of the year as opposed to the first half. So I think that people are starting to recognize how good he is with the stick. But that being said, I think he's going to go over because he continues to improve.
Did everyone say over?
Yep.
Under.
Nice. There we go.
Nice.
He has 17 home runs, over under 29.5 home runs he finishes this season with.
So with this take right here, I always admit when I'm wrong on something, right? I didn't pay attention to his power numbers the other day when I was talking about the fact, because there was a stretch where he just was not hitting home runs at all.
It was like a month almost.
So, yeah, it was not good. I did not realize when you guys said 17, I even sat back and I'm like, well, damn, I'm way wrong on that. I didn't realize that his power numbers had improved to that level. So you said what was the over? What was the over under again?
29.5.
29.5. I'm going to go with the over on that. Again, for the same reasons I talked about, the OPS, everything like that. I just think that he's going to be the catalyst for them. I mean, he has to be the catalyst for them moving forward. And if they get out to this hot start coming out of the All-Star break and really starting to turn heads, and again, they don't mess things up at the deadline, I think he's going to be, again, the catalyst for this team behind the scenes. I think it's going to be more than just, of course, putting the ball in play. I think he's going to be knocking out of the ballpark. I'll take the over.
I'm going to take the under just because I don't think – I feel like he's due for a slump type of situation. And that's okay. Every baseball player does that. I feel like he did it last year a little bit after the All-Star break as well. But I would take the under on this. Yeah.
I'm going to take the over. I have money on 30-30 season, which would be a great bet to hit.
Phenomenal bet.
And the actual line on FanDuel right now is a pick'em at 27.5.
Really?
So a little bit lower. I still feel comfortable about both. I think he's going to get to 30.
That's a good one. Readeroo?
Listen, if you're gonna ask me Elly Cruz, I'm gonna say over all the time because I think he's gonna continue to get better. I think and they're playing an easier schedule in the back half. I think Elly Cruz, you haven't seen the best of him yet this year, and that's saying something for one of the best 5 players in baseball.
Jim?
I'm going to go over. I think he'll get – I think he's just too good of a player to not get 30, and I think he's been playing well this year. He's been – 17 homers in the first half of the season is great, so I'll just take over.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm going to go with my next guy here, Jeimer Candelario. He's having a pretty decent season. OBP right now sits at 298 for our guy Jeimer. He finishes at a 320 OBP to end the year, over-under.
God, I can't believe how much he turned that, how bad that start was.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about one of the worst offseason gets for the Reds in quite some time, and then he goes on and flips that switch. I'm going to go with the over. Outside of that start to the season, he's been probably one of their most consistent weapons, so I'm going to go with the over.
That's fair.
Yeah, I hope he goes over, so I'm going to say over.
I
think he's trending in the right direction. I hope he's going to keep doing so.
I do like that the break has brought upon some positivity about this team a little bit, too.
When you don't have to watch him play, you feel a little bit better about it.
100%.
They look real good on paper, not as much on the diamond.
I'm surprised his numbers at 298. I thought for the numbers that he has 19 doubles, 2 triples, 16 home runs, and he only has a 298 OBP. That almost seems improbable. He has a 240 average, which, again, average doesn't really matter as long as you're getting on base. He's not getting on base that much, which I find to be surprising. I would take the over on this big time, 320, but that's just me. I think he's having a career year. If he replicates all these numbers, he'll have 30-plus home runs this year. He'll have almost 40 doubles, so it would be a Mike Moustakas type of season that we hoped Mike Moustakas would give us. That, of course, he didn't because he got fat, respectfully.
I don't think he gets over 320. We haven't seen him get over 320 in a calendar month yet this year. Even in June when he batted 290, his on-base percentage was 302.
Really?
So it's you're not going to see it. He dug himself a hole so great in April and March that he's not going to be able to get out of. And once again, we haven't seen it this year. So, no, I don't think he's going to get over 320. That's
fair. All right, moving on here. We have our good friend Will Benson. This is a guy that many Reds fans –
Under.
Well, let me read him.
I don't think you have to.
He has a 190 average. Over under the Mendoza line. He finishes this season.
Oh, that's so low.
You said over under 190?
Huh?
No,
over under the
200.
Mendoza line, so 200.
So, the thing is, too, this goes back to, okay, I'm feeling positive about the back half. If he's getting so many more extended at-bats to where he's still remaining at 190, then that's not a good thing for the Cincinnati Reds at this point. So I'm just going to go with the under, and I'm hoping, and that's the thing that sucks. I like Will Benson a lot. I hate that it's not working out. We talked about at Reds Fest, this guy was like the biggest fan favorite that was there. As far as the guys that were there that day, I mean, he had lines of kids that were lining up just to get his autograph, take pictures, this, that, and the other. I really wish it would have worked. High energy guy. It just has not worked out thus far, and I don't have any confidence that it's going to be turning around. We know that when he went down, he got called down to the minors last year, came back one of the best hitters out there. He just has not been able to recreate that magic this season. I'm going to go with the under.
That's fair. I'm going to go, by the way, for the record, I'm going to go under as well. He's given me nothing at no point during this season. He really hasn't had, like, a good week stretch, I feel like, either. I feel like he's had a couple,
4 days that one time.
Yeah, he had a couple games in a row, but I feel like he hasn't had that really good week stretch, 2-week stretch, like pretty much everybody else has had. Santiago Espinal, I think he's on a 6-game hitting streak into the All-Star break. Everybody's had, like, little glimpses of it. Will Benson has been nowhere close. He's had a couple big home runs. He's had a couple big hits. Other than that, he's been pretty horrible this season. I say that with love, and I say that with respect. He's also been a bad defender. I'm going to go under the Mendoza to finish this season.
Yeah, we're waiting on a lot of outfielders to get healthy,
Correct.
too. So he's going to keep facing pitchers and matchups that he shouldn't be facing. I'm going to take the under on 200. I'm also going to take the under on the MLB. I think he's going to be in AAA at some point in the second half.
It's fair.
Yeah, I once again, I'm looking at his splits, and he hasn't had a month other than April where he batted over 200. In fact, it's not gotten any better. I like Will Benson. I liked what I saw last year. I liked the way that he approached the plate. He had what I considered big league at-bats. He waited for his pitch, long at-bats. This year, he's still doing similar things. The problem is when he's getting those pitches, he's not hitting them. It's just the old cliche is there's a hole in the bat. Sometimes you walk up to the plate, you're swinging at the right pitches, you're getting what you want, and you're just swinging through it. When I see you swinging through a 93-mile-an-hour fastball in the heart of the plate, that means you're just absolutely lost up there. And when you're lost up there to that extent, it's incredibly hard to come back from.
That's fair. Mark Reynolds has the most strikeouts in a season by a batter with 223 strikeouts in 2009. Will Benson, our good friend, currently has 118 strikeouts. Over under 200 and what is that number? 23 strikeouts for Will Benson this season.
Will Benson, I apologize.
For the record.
We're just beating up
This
on
is
it.
rough.
For the record. Over under.
I'm going to say under because I'm hoping he doesn't get enough at-bats to get to that record.
Our good friend Adam Dunn has 222. If Will Benson's on this roster until the end of the season, there is a significant chance he sets the record for most
no
strikeouts
doubt.
this season.
Take
No
a
doubt.
wild guess at what Mark Reynolds hit the year that he had 223 strikeouts.
I'm going to say a 265 average, a 350 OBP, an OPS of 790.
An OPS near 900. He hit 45 home runs that year.
Oh, my.
He slugged over 540. You're right on the first two numbers, though. It was 260, 350. So shout out to you. So,
Billy
yeah,
Bates
I mean,
could
the
do
only
that.
like Will Benson can't
great.
continue to have these at bats.
That's brutal. I mean, that's just absolutely brutal. There's a significant chance he's breaking that record. Moving on, Jonathan India, our good friend. He's been heating up down the stretch lately. He's had arguably the best month of any Red over the past couple of seasons. He is hitting 275 with a 377 OBP, an OPS of 804. He has 8 home runs as well as 21 doubles. Jonathan India, over under the exact same numbers to finish out the season. Basically, I'm saying, will he stay this hot going forward?
He will not stay this hot moving forward. I still think there's going to be a big slump that kind of comes in to kind of level this thing out a little bit. I don't think his numbers are going to drastically improve. I think his numbers will drop a tad when he goes on this slump, and then it'll kind of level out. But, yeah, Jonathan India, I mean, will he be a Red here in the next couple of weeks? That's going to be the big question, too. But, no, I think he's going to have a very good back half of the season. I just think there's going to be a slump or two that kind of levels these numbers out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that Jonathan India is much closer to the last 2 years than he is to this year. So I'm going to take the under. I think he's going to find level to what he is as a baseball player, and I think it's somewhere in the middle probably. I don't think he's as bad as he's been the last 2 years, but I don't think he's an all-star second baseman, which is what he's been playing like for the last month.
I'm going to have positivity here, and I'm going to say over. I think he's going to be this player and maybe something more for the remainder of this season. I don't know why I feel that way. I just feel like he's been good enough, and he's going to continue carrying this Reds lineup, seemingly, in the back half, because not just because I think he's good enough to, but because the Reds absolutely need him to. Because if Jonathan India isn't going to be this player, then I have serious doubts with where this Reds team is headed.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under what he's been. I got a better question for you, Elliot. Is will Jonathan India? He currently sits with a 2.4 Fangraphs WAR at 4. Will he surpass Elly De La Cruz's first half WAR, which was 4.4? You think that'll happen? Do you think Jonathan India will get to 4.4 by the end of the year?
It'll be close. I think it'll be close. I don't, to answer your question, no, I don't. But I do think it'll be close. I think if Jonathan India lives up to my projections, he will. But I don't think he'll live up to my projections. So I'm gonna say no. He will.
Because he'd have to be pretty much the exact same player that he was in the first half. Because there's fewer games. There's only 70 games in the second half of this year, and he's I mean, he would have more WAR than he had coming into his career coming into this year, and for the rest of this year. So I don't know if that's
fair. It's fair. Final one. Noelvi Marte, 175, a 209 OBP, and a 463 OPS. Over under those numbers in the second half.
I mean, God, come on. It has to be over. If it's not over,
we're in deep trouble.
If
here.
it's not over, it might be over.
I mean, if he finishes this season with an OBP of less than 250, I'm concerned.
I think he's going to end up being fine.
Considering the buzz and the excitement and just the expectations for him coming up, and again, the Reds have done a fantastic job scouting and developing over the years. I have a hard time believing that he's just going to fall completely flat on his face without ever showing true promise of being called up at the majors. So I can't predict that he's going to be under, but I have yet to see anything like you talked about a little bit ago with Will Benson. I've yet to see anything that he's going to be able to do anything consistent. So, and obviously that damn suspension for Juicing before the season really kind of altered the momentum heading into the season. We'll see, but hopefully this little break is a chance for him to kind of reset coming out.
I don't have the stats with me, but there was the stat where the youngest player to have the most 3-hit games, Noelvi Marte, is like top 3, I'm pretty sure, if I remember that correctly. I think he's had 4 already in his career. It's either 3 or 4. He's had 2 this season, 3-hit games. There's something in him that's a good baseball player, and that's the guy I believe that's going to show up at some point during the back half of this season. He is not a 175, 209 hitter with a 463. It's just not who Noelvi Marte is. He will, I hope, come around. Hopefully he gets more comfortable defensively as well.
That's my biggest worry with him.
Yep, the defense has been absolutely abysmal from Noelvi. So we'll see going forward. You just can't realistically predict him to be worse than he's been because it's hard to do. I'm gonna guess you both are gonna take the over as well.
I was gonna take the over. Yeah.
It's hard to, unless Reed wants to be a hater.
I'll take the his OPS plus is 28 right now.
If he goes under 28, we got a problem.
I think one thing with him too is he got super hot last year. Like he's only played 52 games in his career, and he got super hot last year. So the expectations I think were through the roof coming into this year, especially after a suspension. So I think he'll trend back up. I think right now he's at his valley. I think he'll trend back up.
Extend him.
We've seen 130 at-bats across professional baseball from Marte this year. He has almost the exact same amount of time in the majors as he did in AAA, and he has just 20 hits in that span, well under hitting about 160. So I don't know. It's scary. It's scary what's going on with Marte.
Yep. That's our show.
That is our show. I know we're out of time, but the Jaguars are getting ripped for their throwback jersey, by the way.
Really?
Right now, their team store. So their current jersey. What would you call that color blue, by the way?
It's more of a teal.
A teal? Okay.
Yeah.
So
turquoise teal.
People are mocking them because their team store, they did like an aerial shot of their team store right now, and they're making a big deal about these throwback jerseys that are now available. But like they have a rack for the original teal jerseys that are their modern current jerseys, and then the throwback with the Jaguar on the side, and literally the only difference is there's a little gold trim on the rim of the arm, and then there's the Jaguar on the side, but like people can't tell the difference.
It's a different number font
so
too.
It's like I guess the gold trim around the Jaguar one too, but yeah, people are kind of poking fun at it.
I think these jerseys are incredible. I was thrilled when I saw them this morning. I hope the Bengals do these with the Leaping Tiger in the near future. I think these are instantly one of the best throwback uniforms in all of the league. I adore them. I've been waiting on these for a long time.
I guess they just don't look different at all. I mean they're different. Obviously, they have the different logo on there. It's just like
I think the number's completely different.
I don't think they look ugly. I don't even think they look bad. I just mean like when you hear like throwback jersey, you expect to see something different, and it just doesn't look that.
So people don't like the Jaguars fans have been against that.
Yeah, they're just poking fun at it on social media right now. Like, there's no difference. Like, as far, they have that Spider-Man meme where they're both pointing at each other. Like, that's basically what is happening.
I feel like people have started to have that take a lot when jerseys come out, and they're no different than the other jerseys. People said that about the Bengals jerseys when they dropped. They're like, these jerseys are no different except for the side panel. I think those are pretty.
The actual Jaguar logo.
I think those are pretty different. Yeah,
I think so too.
I think they look really good.
All right. Well, on the radio side of things, that wraps it up for us. We appreciate you tuning in and toughing it out with us. I'm ready for this week to be done from a sports perspective. I'm ready for this week to be over from a sports perspective.
I'm ready for some balloons.
You have a big weekend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in on the radio side. This has been Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I just wrapped it up for radio too, but it's like 11:59, so it's like
You got to wrap it up here as well.
back to back, just
Back-to-back wraps.
Yep. When are you going on vacation?
It is next Friday. I leave.
So we get you for 4 days next week.
That's right.
And then
Driving
you're off
down to
on
Hilton
Friday?
Head.
And then
How far is that drive?
11 or 12. Depends who's driving. It's usually around 11 to 12 hours.
That's the furthest you'll drive for a
Occasionally 13.
vacation. Is this about the limit?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, in fact, my limit would be personally like 7. But
Once you start flying, driving's
I like
I-
driving.
So Trace and I had the method, and I'm going to test it out with my dad. When we had to drive that stupid van back from Arizona.
Vlog's coming, I heard.
Oh yeah,
In the Discord.
The Arizona. So Arizona, that drive was every bit of 25, 26 hours, and Trace and I are like, you know what? We're gonna fight through it. We're gonna go the 4-4-4 method. So we just did every 4 hours we switched, and we keep doing that. I think Trace.
I like that.
My eyes were quitting on me towards the end. I think Trace kind of carried us all the way home, but it wasn't terrible if you do the 4-4-4 method. When you drove to Hilton Head, did you just drive by did you just take it all the way? 11 hours?
Me and my wife, because I can get a little tired late at night while driving, as Jacob and Jimmy saw coming home from the concert.
He can.
But so I drive. If it's daylight out, I drive. But if it's overnight, she will drive, which she's great about that.
That's good.
We go to Pensacola every year, and it's about that 12-hour drive as well. But my wife never drives. I always have to tough it out solo. But then she'll always do the last hour. Oh, you want me to drive? At this point, I do want her to take over, but I'm like, no, I've got us this far. I don't want our friends saying that you pulled up.
Yeah.
It made it look like, oh, she got us. No, I'm going to tough it out.
Here's the final thing I'll ask you guys. ESPN came out with their top 100 athletes of the 21st century. You want to take a gander at who the top 5 are?
Wait, they have the top 5?
Yeah, they have the top 100, and it's all the way down to 5.
Is it like Olympic athletes count?
Yep.
It's all athletes.
So Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps is 1.
has to be.
Serena.
Serena's 2.
Messi's got to be on there.
Do you think it's Messi or Ronaldo?
I think Messi because
I
he won the
mean-
World Cup.
All right,
LeBron
Messi.
and Brady.
Are you just looking at my thing over here? I just got it up over here.
LeBron and Brady, obviously.
Well, it was Messi, LeBron, and Brady. That was
Hey, look at us. 5 for 5.
Which sport has the most athletes in the top 100? Which
Football.
league? Which league?
NBA.
No.
The
that's-
league.
Basketball
Hold on.
No
has
way it's
the
NBA.
most.
Really?
Basketball has the most, but
Who's
baseball has the most. Major League Baseball has the most from a league.
Really?
What other basketball?
There's 8 women basketball
Oh,
players.
WNBA. Okay.
There's 8 women basketball.
Well, it's same ownership.
I thought the WNBA just started this year.
Yeah, so did I.
Interesting. No.
What are-
So,
Yeah.
hold on. What was the last part of that one?
Baseball, which is the league that has the most. Major League Baseball has the most in this top 100. I think they had 18 guys in there. But basketball was the sport with the most.
I need to look at the back end of the 100. Me and you disagreed on this. Chris Paul is in there, and I'm not. It's not that I don't think he's talented. Super talented. He has no MVPs, nothing. He has so I'm like, if he's on there, it's not I mean, we know skill-wise, talent-wise. Is Carmelo Anthony on this list?
No way.
I would assume.
Carmelo Anthony?
He should be.
I'm going through it,
No way.
and I am not seeing Carmelo
He
in.
That-
tailed
see,
off. He tailed
that's a
off
bad
so bad at
miss.
the end. No.
I asked that.
Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, all in the 80s, 90s.
Melo should be above Kawhi for sure.
What do you think about Roy Halladay surpassing Aaron Rodgers?
It's so hard to grade sports against each other.
Yeah.
It's like, who do I think's a better athlete? Aaron Rodgers by a mile, but Roy Halladay can throw a ball really well. So,
And like the criteria, you're going to use championships to bolster others, but ignore no championships for others. I don't think championships should be team sport championships should be utilized in there, but I understand why it is. So yeah, nonetheless.
My biggest qualm is Shohei Ohtani being number 62,
crazy.
directly behind guys like Mariano Rivera.
That is weird.
Yeah, it just seems like, yeah, come on. Here.
But you're
Our
right.
Spaniards had a guy. Yes. Iniesta. Andres Iniesta.
But I don't know how you make that list too. That's
tough.
That's July for you. That's July for you.
Do they have like a criteria?
Yeah, no kidding. But hey, guys, thank you.
Is
For
Deshaun Watson on that list?
we're out of time. Thank you for tuning in. Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Thank you, Izzy.
What do you think?
Number one.
That's a different list.
A little higher than I expected, but not bad.
That's a different list.
Now we're done. Thank you for tuning in. Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio and Dayton.